All right. And we are live. The Last Word with Lord Cognito and Ebontis and Ty Guy Travis, fresh on that Thursday evening campfire, gentlemen. How are we doing? Let's start with Ebontis himself, lead developer in the middle, high resolution character in the middle.
Boss fight E.
For those of you guys that are getting the audio version of this, they're talking about the video version. We are live on YouTube, so if you guys do catch this on Spotify, on iTunes, for one, drop us a like if you enjoyed the show, but come check out the video. There's usually some interesting facial expressions that tend to happen. But yeah, apparently I'm sitting in the middle of these two, so I'm like, you know, kind of playing referee. They also have dark shirts on, and I got the light shirt, so I'm like ref right now.
Your white shirt makes you look like you're bigger, and you
Yes.
look like a threatening boss with big arms, and I'm like your number two who spies on the protagonist.
I look like I have a small head and a blow-up suit on right now, like the big suit.
A little bit. I was thinking that. You said it, but I was thinking.
I'll thin up. No.
What's going on, man?
No, just had a pretty quiet New Year's with my wife. Didn't really go anywhere. We watched the Harry Potter 20th anniversary thing on HBO the next day just to kind of go back through that world. So, I've watched those movies, like cycled through them every few years. We'll go through all of them, but that was pretty good. But in the last few days and trying to figure out what to start the new year, I've actually been playing Inscription, a game I never thought I would play because, so I liked, there's another podcast to listen to, it's Play, Watch, Listen. It's Alana, Pierce, Travis, or looking at Travis and saying it. Yeah, you.
Me.
No, it's Mike Bithell, Austin Wintory, and then who's the main voice actor I'm forgetting here? Last of Us voice actor, big guy.
I don't know.
Oh, that guy. Starts with a T.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said Travis. Troy Baker. Thank you.
Troy Baker.
Right.
Yes.
Troy Baker. So it's all four of them.
Baker.
And they always they'll title the episode one thing and they always fall off on tangents. It's just always kind of cool to hear their different histories and stuff that they've had. But she had actually been raving about Inscription, but really never got to talk about it that much. And then I saw it keep kind of popping up in places on Game of the Year list. And I was like, what is this game?
It was on IGN's list.
Yeah, and it was like
Sov raves about it.
Yeah, and I was like, and I look at it, I'm like, it looks like this weird old, and it's Devolver Digital, so you know they got their kind of stylistic stuff. And it's this weird, creepy card game. And the way Alana basically described it was like, it's a card game until it's not. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then you start playing, and I'm like, and I don't do like deck building card. This is not like my genre of game, like at all. Like I've heard people play like Yu-Gi-Oh! And like, you know, at this point, people
talk.
Yeah, people do Pokemon cards just to see if they get a good one, but they don't play that. I mean, I played Magic the Gathering years ago, a little bit, like when I was younger. I gathered some cards, played a little bit, but it's been forever. So I'm getting this thing. I'm like, okay, first you kind of understand the mechanics, and you're going through, and it's just basically a card game. You'll go through, and you know, the first time you go through, you're probably not going to win. And then your next round, and this won't be too much of a spoiler, basically, it's going to say you can stand up from the table, and that's all I'm going to say. And I'm like, okay. And then it just kind of goes. And then last night, those who were watching me on stream, this thing took a hard, like, left U-turn. It went such a weird direction. Everybody, like, there was one of the guys in chat was like, I have to go to sleep, but I cannot peel my eyes from the screen. It is so weird. Yeah, Teddy, calm down. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not here in the discussion tonight because I am clueless about that. You need to go talk to Drewski.
I know everything about Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah. Allow me to speak about it.
But yeah, it's like, so I got to another part, basically. I got to another section, and it has taken an interesting turn. So a game that I didn't think I was going to start playing, and I was like, I'll just see if this like sticks, because there's like, I bought some other stuff on Steam for the Steam sale. I actually kind of want to see where this one goes, and I did not think this was going to be a game for me. And like cards, deck, not like Gwent and other stuff in games. I could probably care less, but like for some reason this is like weirdly. And yeah, Nathan was there last night. I remember that. He was like, he got 4 hours of sleep. He's like, last night was insane. It was, and I don't want to spoil it because if you get there and you don't hear about it before you get there, you're going, I'm sorry, what's happening? I don't know. So I know I'm being extremely vague and not helpful to anyone, but
no, that's fine.
If you see this game and it has any intrigue to you at all, stick with it because it actually seems like it's going some cool places. That's all I'll say. But that's been outside of Destiny grinding and other stuff going on. That's kind of been my start of the new year for my first game. But yeah, finished up a couple before the end of the year, but we talked about those. But yeah, that's my new one for 2022 amongst my giant backlog. Travis, what about you? What have you been doing? Catching up on Destiny, taking a break?
Yeah, so I've been playing some Destiny. My big project is that before February 22nd comes around, I have to get the catalyst for the Forerunner pistol, right? And that means I have to do 5 dares a day until February 22nd. So I have an alarm. I have a daily alarm that reminds me to log into Destiny and play 5 dares. And so that is actually starting today or tomorrow. But I have to. There's certain things I have to get done, and usually I don't care as much. But with this one, I care because a major expansion is going to come out when I'm not going to have time to do this.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Whatever other way they give to give that catalyst, I'm not going to have time to do it if I don't do it now. So I need to do it now. So that's on my Destiny checklist. Everything else is done. I did the damn dawning. I got all the cookies baked.
Did you bake your cookies?
Yeah, I really hated it this year. It was like especially obnoxious. But yeah, I got that done over the break. And then on the very last day of the year, I completed my goal of beating every game that got nominated for Game of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw you playing Psychonauts 2.
Literally.
Was that one of your last ones?
Psychonauts 2, the rolled credits on it, 100% completion of that game on New Year's Eve. Like it was like 6 hours before the New Year.
Wow. Nice.
So yeah, I was happy about that. But I actually, I ended up having enough time because a lot of games didn't get nominated. I ended up having enough time to actually go back and play Psychonauts 1, and I 100%ed that game.
I saw you
before I played Psychonauts 2.
Wow.
Yeah, and that game, it was unbelievable because that game came out almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It was in 2005, I think, original Xbox.
Yep.
And what's crazy is that with the Xbox backwards compatibility, the frame rate runs like crazy. All of the old textures have been sort of like smoothed over. So it's really not that bad. Like if you were playing it on an old Xbox, I feel like it would hurt you. But playing it on the Xbox Series, I was playing on a Series S because I wasn't at my house. I was on my portable Xbox.
Salute.
But playing it on the Series S, like it felt like not that old of a game. And then when I jumped into Psychonauts 2, the first thing I noticed was how little they've changed. Psychonauts 2 is almost identical to Psychonauts 1 philosophically. Like it's crazy how little they change. Like it's really insane. But yeah, I really liked that game. I liked Forgotten City. I liked a bunch of other games I ended up catching up on. But yeah, I played all of the games of consequence that came out last year, which I'm very happy about. And now I'm off to the races. I got my first 3 reviews assigned to me for IGN.
Ooh.
Yep. Right now I'm reviewing a game called Windjammers 2 that is a sequel to a 1994 SNES game.
Windjammer. So, okay, random funny thing.
Yeah.
When we went on a cruise, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago when that was actually a reasonable thing to do. Not right now.
Not now.
There was like the dining hall that you'd have for like your 2 dining times, like, you know, your 5:30, your 8 o'clock. And then there was like the cafe that was open most of the day. And like you'd go in the dining hall and people would dress reasonably and not like complete flip-flops and garbage. Then you would go into the cafe and it would be who knows what, tank tops, whatever, like just a complete mess of people in there in the cruise ship. And it was the Windjammers Cafe. So it was always like a joke when we were like joking around that you'd be like going to, it's like, oh, those Windjammers or something. It was like a weird joking, like derogatory word that we had for just like trashy people, just like the Windjammer, just our way.
The Windjammers.
Yeah, low class, whatever. Yeah. So it's just like when you said Windjammers, was like, that's the only thing that comes into my head.
Yep. I got you.
Yeah. So I actually missed Windjammers 1. I was 5 years old when that game came out, so I guess that's not terribly surprising that I missed it. But yeah, I didn't play that game. But when I found out I was reviewing it, I went back and I bought Windjammers 1 for the Switch, the old game, and I played through that entire game. And it's actually pretty fun. It's basically like Pong, right?
Okay.
Like you're throwing a frisbee back and forth, and it's on kind of like a tennis court, and you're trying to bounce it off the walls and get it behind the person that's guarding their their goal, and so it's kind of like playing air hockey. Actually, is
Yes.
what it really reminds me of.
I
Video
got it
game
now.
air hockey.
Okay.
Yeah, and Windjammers 2 basically just takes that formula and they add a bunch of crazy powers and other stuff where you can do like crazy moves and you can like spike it on people, and it's kind of like an over the top game of air hockey, and I'm liking it so far.
Cool.
And then I also found out I'm reviewing Crossfire X.
Oh,
That's my next review.
There you go.
I want to know about that. Yeah,
So I'll be doing
wanna...
that on February 10, and then come February 22nd, I will be reviewing Destiny 2: The Witch Queen.
Hey!
So that's my first 3 reviews for the
Let's
year
go.
Nice.
that I'm working on. So
Nice.
good times.
Great.
So how
List, sir.
long? So I was like, I know you did. Was it Beyond Light that you reviewed? Was that
Yeah,
you?
I've reviewed every Destiny DLC since Shadowkeep.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you did Shadowkeep and Beyond Light both for expansions.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. So I'm curious, how long hours wise would you say it takes for? Do you expect something like a Crossfire review versus, say, obviously like a live service Destiny review? What is the difference in hours that it takes between, say, those two? Because Crossfire that's like the campaign part mostly.
Yeah, I think I'm reviewing both. I think it'll be online and
nice.
campaign.
Okay.
But usually, if it's like a game where you're just going in and doing PvP matches like Halo Infinite multiplayer,
Yeah.
IGN's rule is that generally speaking, you have to have played at least 10 hours of the online portion.
Mhm.
So, and then for the campaign, you always have to complete the campaign. So
Gotcha.
the thing I've learned about reviews at IGN is that
Mhm.
there's absolutely no consistency with how long a review is going to take. Like,
Mm.
some games like Genshin Impact, I played 120 hours in a week.
Wow.
Like I was
Wow.
just playing that game every second
I was
of
like
the
every
day
minute
for
you were
the
awake.
entire week.
Jesus.
Yeah, basically, I think I slept like 3-hour nights because I was really trying to get that review done because it was a fantastic game and nobody was talking about it, and I was just
Mhm.
like, I need to like finish this as quickly as possible. And then other times I'll get a review, like Windjammers 2 is kind of an example of this, where like I played it and after 5 hours I'd beaten the campaign with every character, and I was like, okay, I feel like I'm kind of ready to start writing already.
Yep.
So it kind of just depends, but Destiny reviews typically take a week and a half of me playing every day.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's definitely more similar to Genshin Impact than to other reviews. Live service games take an extraordinary amount of time.
Yeah.
And the bad thing is that you also can't play it in advance, which is really
Yeah,
unfortunate.
right. Exactly.
That was it was the same problem with Genshin Impact, where I was playing it when the game was already out. But with Destiny, I'll be playing it along with the rest of you guys. And typically, I don't start writing my review until I've played the raid. So
Yep.
assuming that we follow kind of the history,
The protocol.
and it takes a
About
week
10
for the raid
days.
to come out.
Yeah.
I will be playing Destiny every day, every hour of every day for the first 10 days that it's out. And then after I'm done with the raid, assuming that all the content that is expected is done, I just go heads down into writing the review and doing the video and all that stuff, and then get my review out the door as quickly as possible. I don't typically do a review in progress. Some people do that, but for Destiny, I just don't find it super useful.
Yeah.
For me to write a review in progress, because I'm just telling everybody what they already know if they're playing it, and if they're not playing it, they can wait a couple extra days for the raid to be out and that sort of stuff. So
I can respect that.
I don't typically do a review in progress, but yeah, I'm very excited about all 3 of these reviews. Starting off with something that's a little shorter, and then Crossfire is probably going to be meaty, and then Destiny is going to make me wish I was never born. So it'll be good.
So
doubt,
what are your
doubt.
previous scores on Shadowkeep and Beyond Light?
So both of those reviews were written. Let me check. Actually, I don't think that's true. So my first review was written when we were on a 100-point scale with IGN, which was terrible, by the way. 100-point scale is like completely useless.
Like
what's different?
6.8?
What's the difference between like a 7.8 and a 7.7? Like, how is that helpful to the reader to know that? So I'm a huge supporter of the 10-point scale because I think it makes sense. Like a 7 and 8 is very clear what the difference is. We have words that associate with those. But my review of Shadowkeep, I think, was a 7.8, which is at IGN is a 7 is good. If we were on a 10-point scale, I would have removed the 0.8 and just made it a 7.
Okay.
And then I think
What'd you get
I think Beyond Light was basically the same. It was kind of around the same. It might have been an 8, but yeah, it wasn't. I've never given a Destiny review score higher than that. It's like around a 7 or an 8.
Okay.
So, which, let's be honest, that's like mostly what Destiny content is, right? It's usually like good or great, but it's very rare that it's like amazing. Like I probably would have given Forsaken a 9, Taken King a 9, but you know, I didn't review those ones. Yeah.
That is fair. Yeah, for me.
What have you been doing?
What do you guys
what are you doing,
think
Mr. Meta?
If you were reviewing Destiny, what do you think the Witch Queen will score for you?
We're going to get into that, man.
I was like, put a pin in that because I want that actually to be a discussion.
That's a good discussion.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, we definitely got to do that next. For me, game-wise, obviously, like E was talking about, I've been indoctrinated with the quest, so I've been really getting my feet wet. But I have to admit, like you was talking about, E, with this card stuff, this game called Demio, I am like thoroughly addicted. It is like,
know this one.
So basically, it's like
a VR game.
Yeah, it's
cool.
It's Dungeons and Dragons meets Diablo meets like XCOM a little bit. And like I'm gonna be real with you, like I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons guy. Like I've never played it. I got friends that play it at a hardcore. Let me tell you, man, this game is fire. This game is amazing. Like I am thoroughly addicted. You can manipulate the board. You have the traditional tropes, you know, the knight, the thief, the mage, you know, that kind of stuff. They got a new character class, but it's so good that what I like about it is that it is very challenging. You really have to work with your teammates and everything counts. And then the other thing about it, it's kind of funny because it's like you actually are manipulating the pieces like chess pieces on a board and you're moving them over two spaces and that part you're doing in virtual reality and like kind of maneuvering the board. It is really impressive.
Okay,
I have to admit, like,
so the VR space is basically like you would be sitting over the table. You could turn the table
over a table,
and then you can reach in and grab and move.
Yeah, and grab pieces, and then like the background is like somebody's basement in the 80s, and it's hilarious. It's like you're playing Dungeons and Dragons in someone's basement, but it's really really cool. But so I've been rocking that, and then it's doing so well. It was like rated VR is like one of the VR's top games of 2021. And they're coming out with a Steam version in April.
Nice.
They're gonna have full cross-play.
I already have the Steam version. So I think it's out because I have it. I haven't turned it on yet, but I have the Steam version.
I didn't even know if it was out, but I just know for a fact this game is amazing. So I've been blazing that. I'm playing a lot of that. As far as Travis was saying with Infinite, the Tenrai event came back, so you know the ninja got to get his samurai stuff on. They actually added cosmetics. They actually added bounties every day that contribute to the special event. So salute to 343 for doing that. I've been rocking that. And then for Destiny, it's just been a lot of homework. So obviously got the galley. Shout out to DJ. He's in there. He's in the chat right now. We rocked out. We did a grasp. I got to get my cat. Right now, my homework is getting my catalyst done. I got to get Galley Catalyst done. I got to do what you're doing. I got to get my Forerunner Catalyst. And I got Arbalest.
You got the Arbalest Catalyst?
I got Arbalest Catalyst to drop. So I got to work with her.
Arby
is strong, bro.
Oh, no. Arby is like, I don't want to take it off. I mean, for the rest of this season, because right now linears are good. But even when it's not, just the fact that the single shot can break any type of shield.
Yes.
And it's also an intrinsic barrier weapon. Like, to me, it's not quite as much ammo, but it's usually a single shot for barriers, single shot for a shield. Like for high level content, when you're playing the stupid shield match game, I don't know how I'm going to take that one off because honestly, it's so many uses and barrier tends to be in a lot of places. I've used that one a ton, and it's still, even without the particle deconstruction, it's still going to have some solid function. I'm pretty sure.
I got to. Now, do you have your catalyst completed?
Yeah, it's done.
So like, yo, how's that caddy look? What's that doing in them grand?
I mean, Genesis is what the catalyst does. So when you break a shield, you get that right back. So you just basically, it keeps your ammo up more consistently. So you break the shield, and then you should have enough to put some good damage into whatever you're going to target. So,
with that particle recontrol.
Yeah, particles like still absolutely solid, of course. I mean, particles. Still a beast. I mean, typically, like if I'm running with double linears, I'll break it with Arbalest, like for barrier, and then I'll switch to my heavy because the heavies do substantially hit harder. But it's still, I mean, Arbalest is going to be the intrinsic barrier and then the Genesis perk for a little bit of ammo. I think it's just what it needed to make it really functional.
Yes.
And linears are in a pretty good spot. So
yeah, that's how I envisioned Arbalest to be when it first dropped. Remember how we were kind of underwhelmed?
Oh yeah, so I still remember when it was like breaking shield. Yeah, it wasn't quite right. So yeah, it's definitely better now.
Yeah, so I'm doing that, and then the rest has been cleanup. I watched your video. I got my I ran to Banshee and got that Cartesian with the right roll.
Oh
that
yeah,
day.
4 pull and left and gold.
That.
Yeah,
yep, doing my dares and just to Travis's chagrin, I did my dawning the last day. I went to all the vendors the last day. I was cooking up with snickerdoodles and all the foolishness and
yellow doodles. By the way, it's yellow
whatever,
doodles.
Whatever. Got all that done. Got it masterworked. I got my easy bake oven masterworked, and I didn't get the what is it the fusion the
glacioclasm subsistence. Right?
I got the reservoir burst, but I didn't get the subsistence combo.
Did you get it with did you get it with slide shot maybe or no?
Nah, it was like surplus.
I got mine on the last day.
Yeah.
So I finally got it, but I was like, that was like a couple hours before I was getting ready to go to bed, and I finally was just like kind of relieved because I'd basically been turning everything in for that because like the sword I was fine, cold front was okay. I got a couple decent avalanches, like. I got a subsistence.
Are good.
I got a subsistence adrenaline junkie. Like if machine guns get a boost for like ad clearing purposes, that actually would work fairly well. But now the subsistence glacioclasm I wanted, and because I like null composure for the similar reason.
Me too.
I was like, it may not be because I literally used that in my solo build for Grasp of Avarice. So it was like it would hit harder. And granted, the thousands, like I'm not entirely sure I'm gonna love it, but I still wanted the option. But just the fact that you could fire and reload and still have reservoir, it's like it's unique. That was the main reason.
Unique. And that's why I wanted it. And but I only think I'm disappointed though, the nerf to heavy aggressive fusions, they feel weird with that charge time.
Yeah, the 1,000 charge time I hope gets fixed. That's another reason why if they bring that down some, like kind of tweak that a little better, it feels like it feels like an hour to charge that thing up. That's why I was like, I got it for now for the possible future that those high impact ones don't take 6 years to charge. So.
Yeah, but that's been pretty much it. And like I said, between Halo, Destiny, Demio, and you like this? For the holidays, I did. I played Overcooked for the first time and watched me argue with friends about who didn't cook the burger right, who didn't slice the lettuce, who did like that game. I've never played Overcooked. You'll
break friends. Yeah, you'll break friends with that one.
New Year's had a bunch of the homies over, and we playing this game, and it is absolutely hilarious.
Are you talking about a Sandwich Tale? That game?
No, Overcooked. So basically, like you in a restaurant, and they give you.
I thought you were still talking about the VR games because there's a VR sandwich making game that's like really.
There's some like VR cooking one I saw recently too. Overcooked, yeah, it's like because then you start having the different levels where you got to pass stuff back and the trucks drive apart and together. And I never got that far in that one, but Mario Kart is friendships getting destroyed. As Teddy said,
brother. I was like, yo, who get the pot out, get the burger off the thing. It's so funny. And then like you got to clean the dishes. It's hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. They told me to start with part 1 first. But the reason why I want to give it a shout out is because I got to give Switch their flowers. We're in an age right now because I wanted to bring a party game over with friends. And everything is either online, and Switch still does local co-op with 4 to 5 people. Yeah. And it's the best for that. I gotta give Switch we had so much fun. Everybody's got the controller. We're all on one screen and just having a ball. So salute to Overcooked.
The first time I ever saw that game.
Yeah. Yes. What'd you say?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Oh, I was just saying the first time I ever saw that game Overcooked, the way I became aware of it is I heard screaming in the IGN office one day, and I go over, and there's just people huddled around the screen, and they're all working together, and they were apparently trying to get 3 stars on all of the levels, including the end of game ones. And I walked and I saw them do it. And the one time I saw them playing, it was the run that they did it, and it was unbelievable. I have never seen that level of coordination. It would make Destiny raiders look like disorganized chumps. Like they were like so on point. It was like.
Bro, I need
this
3
crazy
tomatoes.
relay race where they're like throwing items to one another.
You need like a sous chef and a head chef like barking orders.
It's so
dude,
funny.
It was crazy. And there was a whole group of people around the screen like watching them do it, and everyone was just in awe. They were like, how the hell are they like working so tightly in tandem together. And I was like, I'm gonna play that game.
Yeah.
That was my I was like, I need to play this. So yeah, I own both of them. They're really good.
So fun. I'm glad I tried that for the first time. So that was my holiday stuff that I was doing all the way through.
Well, it is a Destiny podcast. I guess we'll talk about that for a minute or two. But yeah, it's like not to jump too far off of what we were on. Witch Queen is what's looming. We didn't get a TWAB today. It's the big like bomb they dropped on Twitter. It's like no TWAB today, but it's just going to be more.
Like that's a bomb.
I know, but I was like, everybody's like, where TWAB? Where TWAB? And they're like, no TWAB, and it was like, oh, but as Witch Queen information is going to start rolling out in the future weeks, we've got 6 weeks basically or so till it starts really, till it's in our hands. So the weekly cadence of TWABs is generally going to have a breakdown of something. We've got, the weapon crafting campaign probably, we'll get a schedule of like raid dates and stuff like that. Chat was talking about that. But as we talked about last time, actually, where do we think it's going to like rank in, where do we expect for it to rank in our years? But Travis actually had a very good idea to say, where do we think we're going to score this thing when we get done with it? So to start it off, we're going to let the IGN expert show us how this is done, and then we'll sound off afterwards. So Travis, Witch Queen anticipation with everything that we know right now, kind of break down, you might even break down like how you kind of come to a score, like if things take away, if a raid's really good, it might bump it, like let us understand, then we'll kind of take a piece of it from there.
Yeah, so I think every game is a little different in terms of like the things that work for it and the things that don't, and kind of like looking at it critically. But the ultimate question is the game fun, right? Like, is it fun? How fun is it? What are the things that aren't that great? And we all know what the things are in Destiny that aren't that great, like the new light experience, which I'm sure we'll be talking about later.
That's the next topic. Stay tuned.
Yeah, next topic. So, that's like one area that Destiny could always improve. Their economy, their armor system. These are the things we spend all every week talking about. So there's stuff that's bad, but the last 2 expansions I reviewed for Destiny have gotten 7s mostly because of content scarcity. Actually, that was like the main problem with both Shadowkeep and Beyond Light, in my opinion, was that you play through the story in a couple hours, you beat the big bad, and then you're sort of running around and doing the same strikes over again. And lack of new multiplayer maps or multiplayer modes has been something that I've railed against on all my Destiny reviews. The lack of like a long-term bad guy or focus for the story, I think I've talked about in every review I've ever written for Destiny. And I've been reviewing Destiny not always for IGN, but for other outlets. My first review for Destiny was Destiny Vanilla, which I gave a 6 out of 10.
Destiny 2 or Destiny 1?
So Destiny 1. Destiny 1 Vanilla, I gave a 6 out of 10. I've been reviewing it for that long, basically from the beginning. And then The Taken King was my first on-site review where like Bungie was like, come out and play the game in Bungie headquarters and like review it like on site. And so, yeah, I have a long history of reviewing these expansions, but the last 2 have been 7s because of scarcity of content. And so for me, it'll be one of the big determining factors will be how much content is actually in this game, and is all of it good, right? Will the campaign be meaningful and impact the story in ways that we're not expecting? Will it have direction? Will it have new modes or new kind of surprises we're not expecting? How much does it shake up the sandbox with the new glaive weapon type and armor or weapon crafting rather? Will the raid be good? The raid definitely helped Beyond Light because I wasn't super thrilled by the campaign, but the raid was awesome.
Good point.
Did Deepstone Crypt like bump at a point for you, or where like before the raid? Do you score it before you even get to the raid, or like are you kind of keeping an ongoing idea in your head, or do you just kind of get the complete picture and then be like, okay, where did we finally land?
Basically, sorry, I just saw my laptop isn't charging and it's on 2% battery. So
that'd be good.
Yeah. I try not to think about the score for as long as possible, to be honest. I try to just like play the game and immerse myself in everything that it has to offer. And then once I get to the point where I feel like I've played everything, then I start to think about like, well, how was my time with this? What were the things that bugged me? What were the things that I liked? But you know me. I mean, you guys have done a show with me for half a year. You know that I'm like super annoying. Like I used to think that my superpower was observation. Like, oh, I'm like Sherlock Holmes. I just notice stuff. And that's just not true at all. As I'm older, I realize my superpower is that I'm whiny as hell. I'm super whiny. And honestly, that's my superpower in everything I do. Like my day job is because I'm super whiny and I things bother me that don't bother other people, and I'm able to kind of like get in there and like fix them. And then I'm a good reviewer. I'm a good critic because I'm also just super whiny.
Yeah, it helps you.
Yeah, I'm just super whiny. It's very helpful. It's like it's a gift and a curse because everyone around me hates me, but it's very useful. It's very useful in my life to kind of have that. I'm constantly analyzing things critically and going, well, why isn't it different? Why? And I do the same thing with like authority figures. People tell me, oh, that's the rule. And I go, well, why is that the rule? Like, it seems like a dumb rule. I'm just that annoying little like rebel. I was like, yeah.
There's going to be comments that'll be like, man, Travis knows himself.
Oh, they already said it.
I do know myself, man. I am 100.
Yep.
I have a high level of introspection. When I was in elementary school, if anybody knows me, I have never done drugs and I've never drank alcohol. I am like straight laced just because I'm a control freak.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was in elementary school, I got suspended for refusing to take the DARE pledge.
Wow.
Did you guys have to take the DARE pledge?
I remember that.
I remember DARE.
Yeah.
I don't know about
They
that.
tried to get me to take the DARE pledge, and I was in 4th grade, and I was standing up to like this police officer and going, "You're brainwashing people. Like, why should they have to do this? They're kids. They don't understand what this pledge is. You guys are fascists." And they were like, "You're suspended. Like, get out of here. What are you doing?" So I just have always been in that way.
Rebel.
So, but yeah, I'm going to say that this is going to be a 7 out of 10. And the reason I'm going to say that is because I hope to be pleasantly surprised. And maybe it'll be an 8 or a 9, but it could also be worse, right? It could be like a Curse of Osiris, which in my opinion is like a 5 out of 10, right? So it could go either way. But I'm just going to be like, the reason a lot of reviews at IGN are 7 out of 10 is because most games are good, but not anything special, right? Like, it's very rare that a game is like leaves you with a bad feeling in your mouth, but because most games are just fun, right?
Nerf Legends, but it's also, Nerf did that.
Yeah, there are obviously exceptions. There are obviously exceptions, but yeah, there's. It's also very rare that you play a game and it like blows you away, and you're like talking to your friends about it. Like, that's also a rare occurrence. So I think it's safe to just like play for the middle, right? And say it's probably going to be a good game.
Safe bet.
Not great. But yeah, I hope that it's an 8 or a 9. Like, in my heart, I'm like, this has got to be better than Beyond Light. Like, it's got to be better than Shadowkeep. But I don't know that. We have not seen that from independent Bungie yet. So I'm waiting for them to have that breakout game that makes me go, okay, they can create a Forsaken or a Taken King with the current team without the backing of Activision. Like, I'm waiting for that to happen.
Fair.
So.
Yeah, that's fair assessment. I'm like, I'll be, whereas, what is it? He says Travis says he's the king of whiny. I guess I'm the king of optimism, right? I'm Mr. Positive, it's all right, or whatever.
It'll be okay.
What it is, I think the reason why I'm leading that way is because I feel like they are internally in a place of confidence that, remember a couple months back, they were just screaming from the rooftops, Bungie.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, So y'all seeing something internally that clearly y'all are excited about. Now, again, that could be just more future stuff, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be all pertaining to Witch Queen. But the track record is generally good. I think they always remind, I've said this before, during the Flashpoint days, like they always remind me of that kid who dilly-dallies during school, but then midterms, but like that final exam, they generally tend to show up. They cram to the very last minute, and then they show up, and you're like, oh, okay. Just when you're about to lose faith in them, just when they were like getting 65s or B minus, C minuses or whatever the hell
barely
they were
passed
doing.
that last quiz.
Yeah, like they've been barely passing, and we always go, I don't know, Bungie, like y'all messing up, bro.
They forgot to turn in their homework on Season of the Worthy,
Yeah, it's like Activision going, y'all still messing up. You know what I mean? You know the school tropes. It's like, and then the big thing happens, and it's just like, okay. Now, to Travis's point, though, this is a new day. This is still Bungie on your own, right? So we got to see them execute that on their own. And, you know, to Travis's point, like Beyond Light, in my opinion, it was okay, but the raid bumped it up for me, personally. If Deepstone Crypt wasn't as good as Deepstone Crypt was, I don't know if I'm giving them a super high score. We had, you know, it's a new subclass, yeah, but it was kind of busted coming in that we all knew. I mean, the story did not.
I was going to say, in fairness, like, for Travis giving it a 7, as Sunset had just gone into session at that point.
Oh, right.
Like, and there was like lack of loot and stuff. Like, when I sit there and think about a 7, I was like, you were probably almost on the relatively generous side. Like 7 was probably, and as I said, was like that raid probably gave it just an edge to not make it a 6. I'm thinking,
for me, the raid.
You know what's funny is, oh, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go.
What I was gonna say is what's funny is Destin always used to get flamed for writing Destiny reviews for IGN because he did the reviews before I started doing them.
Right.
But I've never gotten pushback on my Destiny reviews because I put out 7s and the fans are like, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it's an 8. And then the people who don't like Destiny point to it and go, oh, yeah, 7. That means that the game sucks. You know what I mean? Because they're just looking for ways to hate. But I always end up like right in the middle. I always want to be the guy who writes the extreme review where everybody's like, but no matter what I do, even if I give Nerf Legends a 2, I look on Metacritic. I look on Metacritic and it's got a 1 and a 3, and I'm like right in the middle. I'm like, damn, how does this keep happening? So I'm just not an extremist.
You got to give like Destiny the final shape a 10, and then you'll just freak everybody out.
Then people will hate me. Yeah. I've never given a 10, never in my life.
I don't know if you could give something a 10 just due to your nature. Is there
your nature? I can't see.
I was like, what would you give? Okay, what would you give Halo Infinite?
See, I actually had this debate on we did a Halo roundtable, and I said that if I was reviewing it, I think I would have a difficult time not giving it a 10. Because a 10 for IGN does not mean perfect. It means masterpiece.
Right.
And if you read the description of the review, it says, we hope that games in the future will like learn from this game and like model things off of it. When I think about it, I'm like, God, I hope like shooters learn from Halo Infinite and realize like that's how to do the multiplayer sandbox, and that's how to do like a campaign. Like I would have a hard time doing it. I actually do have a lot of problems with Halo Infinite, mostly around like story, and they're kind of like shifting. I don't want to compare it to this, but they did a very similar like Rise of Skywalker thing where they chose one direction and some fans didn't like it, and then they tried to turn and retcon a bunch of stuff. And I have problems
basically
with
act
that,
like 5 didn't exist. Continue.
Yeah, kind of. Well, they don't. They embrace it, but they do what Rise of Skywalker did, which is they say, yeah, that exists, but it doesn't matter anymore, right?
Yes.
Like it's sort of, which I think is kind of like the move when there's fan backlash. I personally think that developers and writers of stories should never listen to the fans because they have no idea what they're talking about. And that's just my opinion. I think people listen to fans are just always screwing things up. But anyway, Halo Infinite, I probably would have given a masterpiece. It's possible that the reason I've never given a 10 is because people don't let me review games that are that good.
Well, like, see, that's
they holding you back.
See, and that's the interesting thing of like anybody who gives anybody a score, because I listened to Skillup, Tassie, you, Ryan McCaffrey. Like I've heard you guys all talk about it in different ways, and everybody has their different pieces of what grains on you more. For example, Maddie absolutely hated Deathloop. I mean, like with an absolute, I
saw that
with an odd passion.
He goes so hard against,
and it's like, and I think, and that's I was actually talking to Cog about this one, and I think it was like for like, and I'm not saying his thoughts are unjustified because I think for him, he is like diehard Arcane. Seemed like he like loved Dishonored 1 even more on Dishonored 2, and he's like he could see where they're going. And then and then to him, it didn't deliver. But then, as you said, like to the masses, it's a different, and that was for me, it was my first Arcane game. And like, I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy the other ones, but it was just the first one I played. And I had fun in the sandbox because it was the first one for me. It was kind of goofy. SkillUp also disliked Deathloop. So it was like, but SkillUp.
But I have to say, there's a difference between a game being your biggest personal disappointment, which is what it sounds like it was to Maddie. It sounds like it was his personal biggest disappointment. His expectations were here and it delivered down here for him. It's different between that and being the worst game of the year.
Yeah,
because
he wanted a 12 and got like a 7, but to him it was a 2.
Yeah.
Right. And
but to say that that's the worst game of the year just tells me you did not play a lot of games that came out this year, because there were some really bad games this year, man. Like it blows my mind. Deathloop is a great game.
Listen, I will give the man this. He is on his square. He takes all the criticism. He fights the comic boy. He goes in, and I get it.
And he has justifications for why he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just saying it sucks.
Yeah,
like
he's the arcade connoisseur. And listen, I disagreed, but I respect his opinion. I understand the perspective of where he's coming from as the arcade guy. But I'm with E. I know it's the type of game I'm going to like. I know the fact that the masses like it for that reason. He just knows in his mind it's the dumbed down version of his favorite studio / genre, whatever. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Well, with Witch Queen, it's just like, we, beyond finishing up the Beyond Light part was the Deep Stone Crypt and how that really elevated things for me. And that really, and I'm a little biased. I'm definitely biased if you deliver me a great raid. If you deliver me a great raid, that really resonates with me. And Witch Queen has a lot of pressure because it's twofold. It's one, resolution on a Taken King campaign level that I want to see. Not that it has to be we beat her or anything like that, but it just has to respect this character and all the buildup of years and hype and lore. And you know how we feel if it's like, hi-ya, and we killed it. Like if it's a hi-ya moment and it's over, you know what I'm saying? They got to be very careful. Now, I'm confident in the fact that over this past year, like, we got to put our heads together for the narrative team, y'all. Come on.
Yeah,
the narrative
absolutely.
team for 2021, the narrative team has been in their bag. So I am confident that they will at least respect what's going on, how this, how we get there, and then what we do next. But I do want to see how this raid is. That's going to be big for me. And then to your point, E, the day-to-day mechanics, the what crafting really does. Is it a gimmick? Is it a gimmick? Are you really crafting Destiny? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing, right? So then, we got to shout out to that Thanos moment. Facts, DJ. So it's like, what are you really doing? And then we know there's going to be a sandbox update, right? We know it. We know they got some stuff.
Void 3.0 is not small.
Right. Yeah. We got to see really cool execution. I'm going to use the Outriders example. Outriders did some things, y'all. It really did some things as far as quality of life in the looter shooter sandbox. I'm curious. And generally with Destiny, my last point I'll say is this. Generally with Destiny, when it comes to expansions, they tend to do good as far as changing gameplay and tropes and problems and really getting into the mechanics of making the game better, right? I want to see what they have in mind, because that's the pressure to me. Like, there's certain things we're like, come on, Destiny. We talk about Crucible at nauseum. We talk about Gambit at nauseum. There are fundamental things that are still broken, but not in a good state. They've got to really revamp.
Incomplete, I would say.
Right. So that this...
I don't think they're going to address any of the Crucible complaints
that's
in
kind of where
Queen. I think that's way down the road. I think that's that's other seasons. Yeah.
And if that's the case, then I'm back with Travis on. It's going to be 7-ish kind of an expansion. Then, if that's what's going to happen. I feel like
all the Destiny expansions have been dodging the 6 from me. Right. Like Beyond Light was like headed towards 6, and then the raid like knocked it. It was like, all right, cool, we got it. And I don't really remember a lot about my review of Shadowkeep, but I remember it was like on the cusp, and then I was like, all right, it's going to be a 7. Like, it's going to get there. But I would like to see it do the opposite. We're dodging the 7 for like an 8 or a 9. I want to see it kind of climb up there, because it's just been a little... There's always been something missing. Like Beyond Light, it was like the campaign, and then missing the sandbox. They took all those weapons away. And
I dislike the end of Beyond Light's campaign. I
It's
didn't
not
like the
good.
fake out with the freezing of old girl, the falling. You know what I mean? To me, I always felt Clovis Bray should have been and was the better character to build around. That's just me.
No,
I felt the Lament quest was way better. Yeah.
No, I was literally going to say exactly like the Clovis Bray stuff is what actually added depth and like some character building and getting to see the history between Elsie and Anna. Like seeing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I got a lot more out of that post campaign than I feel like I got out of like the lieutenants and stuff. Now, granted, I will say Aramis had more than, you know, the Veil previously before, and, you know, Destiny 2's Red War campaign actually still wasn't bad. But Aramis in and of herself wasn't bad, because even in the previews, we got a little bit of empathy, at least a little bit. We understood a little more, but it was like the Clovis and the Aramis and, or Clovis, Anna, Elsie, that trio, and then you saw Lament and Banshee, like that whole thing,
so good, and that's why the raid resonated with me, because even though I didn't like Tanic's remix, but I like Clovis throughout. I like Clovis talking to you damn invaders, status calamitous, and he's talking to you like there's moments, you know, even when you do the the skywalk, what's the, like the way he talks to you with that genius level of arrogance. Like, how dare you invade my space? How dare you? You know, I said, you know what you're doing? Do you know who I am? Why I did? Like, he was the guy. I was hoping we get some type of AI simulation against him, but I digress. I'm gonna give it to you.
You know what else bothered me about the story?
Let's go.
If we can talk about the story.
Let's get it.
The whole plot line of the darkness, I felt like was really not well handled. Like, They invite the stranger out, and the stranger says some crazy stuff. The stranger's like, yo, there's a whole bunch of other realities. I'm from one of them. And in that reality, Guardians started using the darkness and became evil, and it destroyed everything. And you're like, whoa. Okay, go back. There's a multiverse, or there's at least different timelines. You're from one of them, and you came here, and your first thought was, hey, you guys should use the darkness here. What? Like,
well,
I just had so many questions.
Zavala's little line about you're not going to use that, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah, but then the stranger's like, yo, I'm from a world where like this backfired in a big way, and we all became evil and killed everybody. Anyway, I'm gonna help you use the darkness, and then they don't really, like, you don't get really any closer understanding what the darkness is.
Agreed.
You're just sort of using it. And then the story doesn't even focus on that. The story focuses on this other thing that's happening with the Fallen that feels totally disconnected. And I was agree. Can we get back to the multiple realities thing? Like, that seems like a way bigger problem. Like, why are we not talking about that?
It's like, why do
and that's kind of been the story. Yeah. I was going to say, that's kind of been the story of Destiny forever, is that there's always been a way bigger problem, and
we never address it.
I'm like, oh, well, we got to stop this other thing that's happening. It's like, what are we doing?
Well, that was the end of season of Arrivals too, when all of the ships came in. We lost like 4 planets, and then we haven't talked about it for like a year.
Exactly.
Like, Destiny reminds me sometimes of, someone use an example, like in the MCU, you know, like, when Loki came to fight the Avengers, but we all know Thanos is the boss. Like, they have a bunch of Lokis running around, and we just fight Loki all day. We fight the mid-boss, the sub-boss all the time. And the main character boss eludes us and never gets handled. And then they forget. Yeah, the Veil.
Well, see, that's actually one of the things about this one, is Savathun has been one of those far-reaching kind of gods. Because, I mean, Taken King was 5 years ago now. Right. At that level, we haven't experienced, like, you know, Crota to Taken King and the expansion and like Regicide and going through all that. Like, we're finally at one of those kind of levels kind of again. We do feel like there's more beyond Savathun, whether it's the Veil, whether darkness, not entirely sure, of course. But it is one of those to where Savathun, again, as we've said, has more weight and has more gravitas to her than we've had in a long time. Like, Aramis is like, it's a fallen captain. Okay.
We know.
Yeah, cool.
Like, you know, you're getting defeated, like, easily. You're getting dispatched.
That's fine. Like, Savathun, on the other hand, if that goes down the same way, we're going to have a problem if, you know, Savathun ends up back in her little chrysalis. It's like, that's
Yeah.
So,
what are you thinking?
No, I was going to say, well, so where'd you end up on score? About 7 as well, or?
7 until...
He's being optimistic. He wants an 8.
He
wants a 9.
You know what? I'll put it out. I'm gonna shoot for the stars. 8. I'll shoot for the stars.
That's the stars?
The stars.
Shouldn't
That's
I
you
was
all you
gonna
get.
say you
10?
said stars,
Yeah.
and I was thinking you were gonna say 9, and you're like
Yeah.
8, and I'm like,
Shoot
okay,
for stars.
those stars are still within reach, man. You got to set those a little farther away.
Only because
What
they
if it's
themselves.
a 10? What if it's the best thing by far and like it blows us all away? It's like masterpiece level.
I don't
It's kind of
think
crazy
it
that
could do enough.
none of us think it's going to be that.
If
That's
it ain't
crazy.
got the trap, if it ain't got Armor 3.0, that man ain't putting no 10 on nothing. You know that man. Don't even
No,
let
it's
him
like,
fool
okay,
you.
so they're literally chat saying some of the stuff I've been thinking about. You guys have said some of it as well, and it's all kind of valid. But there's like, as we played through multiple of these, what makes things great? When the campaign ties into the raid. Just like in Taken King and Regicide, Forsaken to Last Wish. You know, Witch Queen's campaign into the name of that raid. If those link together in some way, that's already a step up because that narrative cohesion is something we've asked for and really enjoyed when it does happen sparsely, but we've really enjoyed when it does. So it's like, is there going to be a narrative cohesion between the campaign and the raid? We know it's in some pyramid ship. Is it going to be like, oh, by the way, can you go take care of the pyramid ship over in the throne world? That thing's annoying. Or is it like, this is some weird shattered piece of my mind? I don't know. It's like, is it going to be cool or is it going to not? And there's little things as well. You said Armor 3.0. I have low expectations there. That's fine. I don't have my hopes up. We got Artifice Armor. If that's where things start to go, just, you know, maybe more of a half step or 0 energy slots or something. But again, like things that have been stagnant for a while outside of Crucible, which we've obviously talked about. We know the cadence of Crucible, unfortunately. Now, we don't know when all the modes are coming. They said they have worked on other modes. There's like 2 modes plus Rift. I don't know the cadence that those are going to be released. Maybe we do get a new
Rift's
mode in
coming?
Crucible.
Rift's coming?
Rift is coming. They've said Rift is
Oh,
coming to
wow.
22, plus
wow,
2 other
I didn't-
modes that they're working on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So those, but again, if those don't come with Witch Queen, then Travis is going to be like, I have to review what I have in front of me, which is completely
course.
fair. And that's that's kind of the thing of a year of Destiny versus the expansion review, because I can't when he's like, hey, lack of content, we haven't got Crucible maps. Gambit's dying off in the desert somewhere.
Yeah, Gambit, bro.
It's like the weapons were very light. So the fact that we had the campaign, the Osiris stuff was kind of cool. Stasis did mix things up in the raid. 7 makes sense. But it's like, for me, Artifact is getting it's very stagnant. I did a video on this like long ago, and it hasn't really changed. So like that would be nice to see a rework. And we've asked about like, what's the leveling system going to be like? I know not all of the big things are going to be fixed in one expansion. They tend to, you know, do a big chunk per season or whatever it's going to be. But again, it's like, is the artifact going to get a refresh after 2 years? Are the champions, which are what they lean so heavily on in any high level content, are the champions finally going to get either at least a recoding, a little bit of rework, some changes, a little more flexibility in the mods? Like, or is it still going to be this, here's your 3 weapons that you can use for the champions. This is your meta for 3 months. Are we still going to be in that department?
I feel like the champions have to be the Hive Guardians, right? That seems perfect for it, right?
It feels like that could be a cool thing. Again, how do they implement it? I don't know, but hopefully. Right. So, I mean, Artifact is one, just because that we do interact with that so much each season. It leads into what each season's loadouts tend to be. Champions, we interact with them at high level content all the time. Crafting. A lot of my weight is going to be what crafting does, because that's going to be the systems. Again, like what's Umbrals have been kind of this thing. Well, the Prismatic Recaster and the Umbral Decoder are bye-bye. I don't know what they're going to be redoing, if that's just going straight into crafting. And if that's the case, we need to see how they do it. Is it well done when Outriders is like, hey, here's Transmog completely free for everything? Or is it Bungie's version of Transmog? Which version of crafting are we going to get? And that's the question is, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be as bad as the 5 economy transmog we got, but I also don't think it's going to be, here's the cool version that you all wished you hoped for. It's going to be that weird time-gated, stretched out thing that like might be in between that Bungie's probably going to do for multiple reasons. It's like, I would love to say that this thing could be a 9 in my eyes. I would love to say that. And I was like, and if they can deliver on some of the things that I'm hoping for, they've talked about Crucible. They're building that team. Right. Weapons seem to be coming more frequently. Right. I can see some of the steps. If the story is a banger, if it has connection to the raid, If there's any cool secrets that we've got it. Like, if there are enough of the things there, for me, it could be a Destiny 9, which is a weird way to say that.
Destiny 9.
But it's like
Destiny 9.
Destiny 9.
What is
That's hilarious.
That's
hilarious. I know what he's saying.
But
He's
I
know what
basically
he
saying,
means,
like, in the ecosystem of Destiny, this is like very high content, but if he were grading it, it would still be like a 7.
Yeah.
If he were just like for public consumption.
And that's kind of, and Forsetti like is in chat. He's like, no shot, Bungie gets weapon credit. And that's the thing is, like, I don't have the faith, unfortunately, that a system is going to be just nailed. And nothing against Bungie, because I feel like they're very capable. I feel like, as we've talked about before, that it's going to be, that's like a Pittsburgh 10.
Yo, DJ's stupid.
But I think it's one of those things where we ask, why is transmog the way it is? And it's when the people who are not making the game, it's when the finances make some decisions. When those get in the way, when it's the engagement or metrics that they're making sure are higher for extended period, when those types of things get in the way of what the gameplay model we would all like to see, that's when it, starts knocking it down a peg.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 8.
Oh, so you're right there with me.
No, but I was
After
like,
all that.
I was
After
like,
all that.
I'm gonna say
diatribe.
like the IGN style of 8, but it's like, but again, if they did like, hey, we reworked, and then like, if the next 6 weeks of TWABs are like, hey, we're reworking the artifact, doing this stuff. Hey, you got a couple new champions coming in, plus those Hive Guardians you don't even know about. Void 3.0 is just like baller. Weapon crafting, nailed it. That's when that thing can start climbing up to like 9s for me, like a legitimate 9. But it's like, there are a lot of systems that I don't know about, and previous experience doesn't have enough faith for me to rank it higher until I know more.
Right.
So
what?
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna just quick question. What would hold more weight to you? Narrative, story impact, but gameplay changes are not all the way to your liking, or let's say magically they really address core gameplay, core armor, core, they really, and then the story's okay. Which one holds more weight to you? Because the vibe I get from you, it's really more of the systems, the builds, the armor, and that aspect of the loop. That not that you don't value story. I know you do.
No, that let me. I love how people are now putting different locations and different ratings. We've got a Canadian 4. We've got a Carolina 5.5.
Shout out to my boy Philip. It's DJ's fault.
Yeah,
Shout out to
got
DJ
a
with
whole
the
bunch of
Pittsburgh
this.
10.
It's like this is hilarious.
Canadian 4.
If this,
I don't think a Canadian 4 exists. I think Canadians are too polite.
Yeah, they're too nice. It's got to be like it's a 6.9. Yeah. They can't be too low.
Yeah.
If this was Final Shape, I would say the story has to be amazing. Has to be a banger to end it out. As Savathun is not the end of this thing, and I know we've got season 17, season 18, season 19, continuing the storytelling. I swear the storytelling is almost better in the seasons.
Yes.
So if the seasons keep the storytelling going well, but the mechanics are solid, our year would be more enjoyable in the longer run. So if I want to log into Destiny and have a really cool experience for Witch Queen, but then the mechanics suck for the rest of the year, or do I have an okay experience in the story and it's kind of an Aramis thing, but they like revamped the game? That's going to make my year more enjoyable. So I would lean to the more enjoyable year with a questionable story. I would love to have both. Yes, but if I have to pick, Texas two-step. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, there you go. No, fair enough.
Because we do play this game all damn year long. The seasonal stories have been really good, and if that's where they focus the stories and the mechanics are still solid, then that's a more enjoyable year, even though it may come out as like a 7 or even a 6. But if the year's good, then that's a better, it's like New Light Experience gets reworked. Like, you come in, that's a lot. Like, there are a lot of things that could be better for the year, which would make the whole year better. So
fair enough. I respect it. A lot of pressure on them. We go see they deliver, but they, like I said, they be yelling Bungie. They be yelling.
That's kind of the thing.
For the rooftops.
And that's the thing is, what is the cadence of what they've seen? Is it coming with Witch Queen? Is it like, because we know we're getting Void 3.0, Arc 3.0, Solar 3.0 during the course of the year. We're starting with Void, but what else do we not know? And that's the biggest questions. Is crafting cool? Like, is crafting cool? Is the campaign replay?
What have they kept from us?
Right.
That's what I want to know. Are there going to be any
point.
surprises?
Good point.
Yeah.
What they also the Lucent Brood. I want to see the mechanics. Confirming we have to kill the ghost to kill them after we put them down, right? Because we've seen the cinema of them. Our Guardian smashing a ghost after killing the Lucent Brood.
Yeah, is that just like a finishing move, or how's that work?
Right. The story with that, the what the hell happens, with Osiris, what the hell happens with Crow, character development on all these other NPCs that we got to know what's going on. Do we get some curveballs? Do we get some deaths? Do we get what's going on with my man, Mr. Gambit himself? Like, he was supposed to play a major role,
he's still
and
this weird thing. Yeah,
he still isn't explained. Now I know they can't get every thread and every loop, but what I want is what kind of Travis alluded to last word, which we were talking about Battlegrounds, and we were talking about one thing we liked about it was the involvement of every NPC on some level where it felt like a living world. I don't like these in the corner, completely self-contained stories that involve only 2 to 3 NPCs and that's it. I want the world affected. I want everybody involved on some level. And you started to see the narrative team kind of take shape that last year because you started to get more players. You start to see, and I like that. They keep that momentum going. I want that I'm going to be hard on them on the story. If the story does not deliver,
they can't ooga booga, Cock.
Thank you. Don't ooga booga me. We're gonna have problems.
If longtime listeners will understand this, but Cog and I have a mutual disdain for this tactic that Bungie employs, where they claim that something's going to be like this insidious, like, oh, Savathun's going to like work her way, and she's got a master plan and all that stuff, and then when it comes time to pay the piper, all of a sudden the monster just pops up and goes ooga booga, and then you kill it, and then that's the end of the encounter. And you're like, okay, so it wasn't really worth all that build
It's almost
up.
like Sam in the hallway of. I just got done watching Lord of the Rings, so it's like Sam in the last one when he's trying to free Frodo from the orcs towards the end, when he's the shadows like screaming, he's walking up the stairs, and they're like, oh, and then he pops out, and it's like, it's a hobbit. What are you doing to me? Like,
because
I mean that. Oryx is one of the few who's done that. Oryx is one of the few ones who's gone, Regicide was cool, but when you're not done with me, I'm massive. Like when he was in it, and that's about the only one I can remember, and I think that's why that is so highly renowned. Forsaken, Last Wish is probably the other style. So again, it's like this every other. So again, if Savathun can have one of those kind of moments, some big Last Wish, Ahamkara, or Oryx in his throne world, whatever's in this pyramid ship or story, something along those levels, as you said, not the Ooga Booga. Here's a fallen captain.
And the remnants of the completion. Like, remember, we had Taken War moment, things still going on. We had, Forsaken. Okay. Now we've unlocked the Dreaming City. Oh my God, what is this? Right? Like that's why what Travis is saying is so key. Like, what else are they holding on to? Because you need also those moments to bring the wonder and joy. Because if it's just ooga booga, we are gonna be disgusted. People are gonna be like, you made me wait all these years to do that. And like I said, the ooga booga, and don't Haya Savathun. Don't come in there and we Zol. Remember Zol?
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah. Hive God, Worm God, gone.
Zol was the ultimate ooga booga.
That was the ultimate ooga booga.
I mean, that was like a seasonal level. So it's like, but again, we just killed a worm god, and I'm like, really? Scale wasn't bad. Just shot him in the face a few times, and he's done in a strike, and you're like, oh,
in a strike, murdered him, got him out of there. Yep. Like, come on now. I think they've learned. I'm hoping.
I do.
I think we're past that ooga booga stage, those old days, and hopefully the better days are to come.
Cog. I agree that they've learned, but I don't know that their capacity has changed.
Good point.
To provide the types of experiences that they want.
It's valid.
In fact, it's gotten harder on them. They're working with a smaller team, smaller budget, and I feel like sometimes their eyes are bigger than their stomach.
Yes.
Creatively speaking, where they'll build up this thing, and then when it's time to actually deliver, they can, they strip down ideas of things get taken out of the game or they get pushed into a different thing. And who knows if they're going to actually be able to do everything that they envisioned for this expansion, especially with the delay and with the fact that, they're working through COVID and all this other stuff. I'm really, really worried that this expansion is going to come out and it's going to feel like it's way too small for how long we waited and how long it's meant to sustain us.
That's what the pressure is, especially after the delay, right?
Yeah.
That is a lot of, and the only thing I will defend them is we are a ravenous base. We eat this stuff up.
100%.
Yeah, we're going to burn through it so fast.
Mm-hmm.
That is the least of my worries, because I get annoyed that Destiny fans are like, oh, I want to be able to play the game every hour of every day and have stuff to do, because I'm like, I want to play other games. Like, please don't make that much content, Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're that type. Like, you want them to have so much content because this is like your bread and butter, right?
No, he's actually changed on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he likes to live in it, but
it's like
I'll let E speak for E.
He lives in it more than most.
I mean, yeah, it's like my YouTube channel. I cover it, so I'm biased. They give us new stuff here and that type of stuff. But I also I'm at the point where it's like I can get creative and come up with things for videos to a point, which, everybody, you can see how stretched people are depending on if you have vault cleaning videos that are coming out lately. Which is fine. I mean, believe me, it's actually entertaining. When you go look at my vault, it's probably tragic. But yeah, it's like there's a point to where we've been talking about the seasons. It's like, you're going to make me log in for 8 weeks. Don't make me wait to week 14, 6 weeks later to get the rest of the story. So it's like, I'm with, there's going to be a conglomerate of 6 to 8 weeks where it's going to be a decent amount of stuff going on. I am okay with the lulls because at some point, I've got to play these other amazing games that I want to play.
Right.
So much.
I also
want to play.
don't want to have. I don't want to have to play so much Destiny that I end up hating it, because I've had periods in my life where, I think probably, especially Destiny 1 Vanilla after Vaulted Blast came out and I was playing it and I was a Forever 29. I was logging on every week and I was running around this patrol areas collecting spin metal and that. I was at a point I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, I hate that I'm playing this game so much. And I would much prefer it if I could log on and have this amazing experience and then log off and log back on once they've got something new for me to experience. I'm okay with the weekly login as long as it's not I have to log in for a week and play like that entire week to keep up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I want to be able to play like a couple hours here and there. And so from my perspective, if I'm being a critic of Destiny, I don't think lack of a long grind is going to be the thing that keeps me back. What's going to keep me back is if the game feels like it's really bare bones and you play for a couple hours in the campaign and then you're sort of going back to doing the same strikes you were doing before. Yeah. That is hard to. That's hard to stomach.
And what I'll add on one quick thing. I'll give it to you. What will disgust me is if. What's the expression? The juice is not worth the squeeze.
Yes.
Where you bother me, if we do all this and these rewards ain't great and the grind is very unforgiving and it's just not a payoff, which I think they've learned from. They've been great with the weapons lately and for the most part managing that. But they also have to, like we talked about, they have to fill in these gaps with more interesting weapons, more new stuff, working that fine line of not balancing just the retreads and bringing retreads back all the time. But I mean, I know Tassie's been big on this and defending them, and I do agree with it. If you look at it objectively, there is more new stuff than there is old stuff. But that's always going to be what the perception is, right? Like the perception is like, oh, you just rehashing whatever. They still have to get on it with the new stuff and make sure that it's interesting and the content's worthwhile. That's the pressure that they're always going to be under. It's just it's being a developer for this game called Destiny that you're always underneath that. But go ahead, E, you was about to say something.
No, I mean, that was kind of where I was going. But like with regards to what comes with, also, I was going to ask you guys your thoughts on, and I was going to ask kind of Travis this. We don't know the name of season 16. We're in 15 right now, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you take any of the seasonal content into play when it comes to your discussion? Because those are technically now separate purchases if you didn't do... So it's like, we'll probably get some free activity. There's probably going to be the seasonal activity. They seem to have that cadence. does the free stuff play in as like a new activity for you? Where does that fall? And also, as this is the season that launches with an expansion, where do you guys think this season's going to rank in the plethora of seasons we've had previously?
Yeah. So the answer to that is that when I am evaluating the expansion, I'm evaluating just the stuff that you get in that expansion. But that said, it's sort of impossible to completely disconnect that from stuff that you get from the season, because the season also adds weapons and kind of overall impacts the sandbox and stuff like that. So Void 3.0, everybody's going to get, presumably. And so that's, you know, kind of not part of it, but is. So my question is the content of the expansion good? And I don't really focus on any of the stuff in the season for two reasons. One, because it's technically not part of the package that I'm reviewing, even though it does definitely influence it. But the second reason is that if I was reviewing the entire season, I would have to write my review over the course of like 4 months.
Right.
Because the seasons take forever to complete, and you don't really get to see the end until the end. And by the time I would finish my review, nobody would be able to benefit from my review. Like, oh, hey, I'm gonna write a review of Season of the Lost on February 20th. Okay, well, nobody's going to be able to play it at that point. So who's the review for? You know what I mean? I have to write the review as quickly as possible so that it can actually help people make decisions about how to spend their time and their money. And so, yeah, there's a few reasons. Reviewing seasonal games is really tricky. And I don't even think the review model is particularly
it's almost like a post
apt at doing it.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Postmortem?
Yeah, postmortem. That's a better way you would do is like, what is the, like, you know, a postmortem on Season of the Lost? Like, how did it end up once you have all the information? That almost seems more fitting for a seasonal model. That's a completely valid thing. And I think that I really like watching videos that do that as a Destiny fan, but as a review, that is not the purpose of review. Makes sense.
The purpose of the review is to say, you know, is this worth your time? Is it worth your money? And here's what we think of it at a critical level so that you can make a decision. And that's really hard to do for a live service game, but I think it is important for games like Destiny that still charge you for these major expansions. Because to be honest, if Destiny just did season passes and didn't have these big annual releases that they charged you for, IGN probably wouldn't review them. We might review them if they had large expansions that were free, because we don't really care about the price, because we can still say, is this game worth your time? Like that's a completely valid reason to do a review. But we're not reviewing Season of the Lost, for example. And the reason we're not reviewing Season of the Lost is because it's sort of one of those things that's hard to review. The people who are playing it are already Destiny lovers that are probably not looking for reviews anyway. And it doesn't have a large cost associated with it either. So it's kind of just not really good content review. It's like reviewing a season of Fortnite. Like, we don't do that. Because
exactly.
Who would that review be for, right? Like, it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, it's very difficult to walk that line when you're doing a review of a live service game. And I don't think the review model is actually really well equipped for live service games, to be honest.
I agree.
But, you know, I know enough about Destiny where I feel completely confident writing a review of it. Like, if it wasn't me doing it, if I saw some dude reviewing Destiny who hasn't played since Destiny 2 Vanilla, I'd be like, bro, do not even touch it. Like, people are gonna be telling you, oh, that wasn't even part of this, or oh, you missed this part of the story. This went over your head, and I would hate to be reviewing this sort of game if I didn't keep up with it as much as I do.
You kind of have, like, it is one of those that you do kind of have to be within most of the time. I mean, you can look at a lot of different pieces. You can try to gather information, but if you haven't, you know, lived through the moments and kind of been in the zeitgeist of Destiny, it's hard to really have a feel on where, you know, a new expansion sits. And like Blackrun was saying, seasons need reviews maybe within the first week, because like the most you could do when a season comes quick is like, how do these activities compare to the previous activities that we like? Is Sundial a fun activity? Is it rewarding? Is it worth your time? Is the system of upgrading the seasonal, you know, vendor NPC menu page, like, is that going to be frustrating, or is it time gated in your face? Like that type of stuff.
imagine trying to review it that first week too, because if we did that on Festival of the Lost, we wouldn't know about the 3-week rotation on the first week, be it in the Shattered Realm. Right. We wouldn't know where the story was heading, really. We haven't had our long conversations
that's
with
why it's
Sabbath
hard.
Moon that were really cool.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, like all that stuff. It's like you don't have any of the context.
Payoff.
Some of them we probably could have reviewed that first week. Like Sundial, in my opinion, that we could have just written that review the first week but we didn't know that until later that was really all that it had. So I just think it's really hard to do these sorts of things.
I agree.
And I think you got to pick your battles and choose which ones to review. I will say this, though. I wish there were people reviewing the Destiny expansions who had no involvement in the game prior, because I feel like that's a really valid viewpoint for that type of player.
Yeah.
Imagine you're not a Destiny player and you want to know if it's time to jump in with
this
expansion. My review might not help you.
Yeah.
My review will be from a guy who has nothing in common with you, right? Like I play Destiny every week, and my review is going to be from that perspective. And I think there is value in somebody who does not play Destiny reviewing it for that player.
I was like, and that ties honestly.
I hope there's some poor schmuck out there reviewing.
No, and that ties in perfectly because you've got players right now, like you pretty much, T-balled that segue pretty well.
Yeah.
So way to go. New lights. That is a thing. It's like, what is the experience when somebody's like, hey, I haven't played Destiny in a while. I remember hearing about this Savathun chick somewhere in the lore, who knows where. And I can buy this deluxe. I got friends who are still playing. Let me jump back in now. But again, like what would the experience be like if hadn't played Destiny 2, played some Destiny 1, had some fun, had some friends that have been getting into it. They're dragging you along. They're like, hey, get the deluxe edition. We're in this thing for the next year. And you just log in with the deluxe edition and go. What is that experience like? Because again, they're still missing some of the old expansions. They don't have some of that stuff in there. They're missing the Forsaken story. You can go read about it on a timeline or a Byte video. That would be a really interesting review to do, like the fresh purchase, jump in and like go hard and level. But now you got to level all the way up to try and get to end game, which who knows what the base level is probably going to be 1300 or something's going to be. They'll bump it all up. But yeah, like new lights especially have a really weird time right now in the game as they literally have been held hostage in Dares of Eternity. And I didn't even think about this when it started, but even worse when 30th Anniversary launched, and I didn't know what quite was happening until like I saw one or two things fall down on Twitter, and then it became this like thing that's kind of exploded. So in Dares of Eternity, when 30th Anniversary launched, we all booted in, but we've been playing the game for a while, so we're like, okay, cool. And here's the new activity, play, Xur horse and all the crazy stuff happens. You go through, it's like, oh, that was kind of fun. And you see the Xur little prize at the end. And you're like, all right, so this is the Xur activity that we saw the pictures for. A brand new player right now who is 1100 power level logs in, goes straight into Dares of Eternity that is 1150. 50 power levels when you probably have blue squad. You don't even go to Cosmodrome first. You load into this first thing as power, like season level 1, and they are screwed, basically.
You can't get through it until you beat it, right?
Yeah, you can't get through until you finish it. And then for some reason, it's been like groups of 6 of these new lights, because it like matched all their light levels together for some reason. They all got lumped in together, so you have 6 people who are 50 power levels under with garbage equipment in the first place, trying to do this activity, and they don't even know what is going on. So what happened on Twitter recently? Even if it, I was gonna say, I'll just explain. Like what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just what happened on Twitter. The word started to get out for some of like the people who like, are really deep into this community. They were throwing on like masquerade masks to drop their power level, pulling stuff out of the vault and going in as low power level as possible to match up with these people. And you'd see a season level 526 and a season level 1 in the same Dares of Eternity. And these people are trying to drag these level 1s through this activity just so they can get into the Destiny, like just so they can get into Destiny. That is what happened with Dares of Eternity, and that's been going on since Dares launched.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it reinforces this idea, this theory I've had for a long time, that Bungie does not think at all about new light players. Like they spend like so little brain capacity on thinking about new players that it's like not even something, and it makes sense, right? Like if I worked at Bungie, you're around all these people that are working on the game and playing on the game and all that stuff. Like the last thing on your mind are new players. And I feel like the one group that was ever thinking about new players was Activision, because they're concerned about the bottom line.
Right.
And they're like, how are we going to grow this game and how are we going to bring in new players? And so they were probably the only devil on their shoulder going, hey, you should be thinking about how we can grow the player base and that sort of stuff. I just think it's crazy that this even happened. It's crazy that no one, like this went through hundreds of people who helped make Destiny, and not one of them was like, yo, this is going to be a huge problem. Imagine if you log in and you haven't played the game before. Like that just doesn't make any sense. And what I was going to say, E, when you were describing the problem, even if it didn't match people with the same light level, even if there was like 2 guys and then 4 people that just carried them through, I wouldn't want to play Destiny anymore if my first 10 minutes with the game were me just getting destroyed for like 10 full minutes.
So prime example of that actually happened to me, because right now it's really funny because you lower your light level. I was like 1078. I like dropped it hard. With the mask at 0, so it's pretty easy to get down that low.
Right.
I went into 1 and everybody did the same thing. You'd like load in and you're seeing power level, like weird power levels, not 1100 exactly, like weird. Right. And then you see somebody with the Vex. I'm like, okay, well, of course you played for a little bit. So then I got out and loaded in again. And I saw one who was level, like, dead on 1100, season rank 1. I was like, perfect. We go in. We did not even try and do the first jump. He somehow got to the menu, left. So exactly what you said. He's like, well, I'm dying in here. What? Now, granted, if you quit, you will actually go to the menu. So that's what you technically are able to do. But I also saw a picture on Twitter where the thing had been lasting for 1 hour and 5 minutes. There's a Dares timer on Twitter. Like I saw a picture, 1 hour and 5 minutes long, that some people were in Dares, I guess, who were persistent and trying to get through this thing.
Or they just don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
If it's your first time playing Destiny, like taking out the ghost and holding Y, you might just not know that mechanic yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just struggle with the algorithm. Like, how did this get passed? Like how did making a mandatory activity at the launch of the game get past power level? Yeah, mistakes are mistakes, but it's like, that is egregious. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, what happened that you felt that this activity has to be mandatory for all across the board?
But I think I was like, I think it was just their way for it to like, everybody go play Dares the first thing you log in so you could see it, and then you might get a Halo weapon from doing it type thing, and then like, I get why, but again, unless you're like certain power level, or if you're a new light player, have a flag to go to the... Yeah, that does not seem that hard.
But it's, to Travis' point, it shows the disconnect on the new light experience. That's what this exposed. I mean, I could understand a mistake here. If they, put it this way. If it was like what Travis said, and you had a mix, right? You had some new lights, some, okay. But the new lights, that's kind of being prioritized. They're being grouped together to just jump in there and do this impossible beat your head against the wall activity. And that, to me, is just like, wow, like, that got passed. So what does that say truly about the new light experience? What does that say for a person that's coming in? This is their first experience. This is what they're going. This is literally, I'm uninstalling this game. Like, why am I here?
Why wouldn't they just make the activity 1100 power?
Right. Yeah, they do that with so many other things.
There's already a cap on how much damage you can do, right? And all players who play every week were already at that
way beyond
when the activity dropped. So what is the downside of doing that? And the fact that it didn't even occur to them to do that means that they spend no time thinking about new light. Like, that's the way I think of it. They're not concerned at all.
I would love
players
to hear what the technical reasoning is, right? What happened, right? That's what you have to help me make sense of this. I don't get it. Like, I'm not a programmer, but how is it that an activity is forced on a group of new light players and there's nothing really they can do to break this loop? and you're just ultimately damaging you're damaging yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're damaging your own product because this is what you want. You want the new guys to come and experience it. So it was just baffling to me. I when you told me that, I didn't even think it was real.
No, I mean, for a while, I was like, what? I saw the hour. I was like, how is that happening? I did to get explained to me as well. It's like
the fact that veterans right now are putting on capes and masks to go save.
They're literally going to be superheroes in Dares of Eternity for these people.
We're like saving cats from burning buildings right now. And there's an initiative. If you do it, emblems coming out for you. Yep. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Spider-Man. What's happening? What's happening, guys? I'm trying to be nice. I just don't
somebody
understand.
mentioned it as well as like, I think it was Newrad, like, one of them, the fact that there's champions in here. They don't have champion mods.
You can't get mods for that.
You have no champion mods or anything.
They're getting terrorized.
They're probably trying to shoot a barrier. He's putting up a wall, and they're like, "Why can't I beat this guy?"
It's like the bully the champions got them up against the wall. You ain't leaving this activity till we finish with you.
Override champion marches up and be like, "Sup? You got
crazy.
nothing."
What is happening? What's happening, guys? That's all. Like,
you know what? If I was playing the most difficult activity of my life, like an 1100 level guardian just getting destroyed by these 50 powerful things, the last thing that I would want is the super sarcastic, super like comedic like ambience, observing like and doing like these jokes and stuff. It's like, dude, he's like joking, and I'm like dying here. I'm like suffering. Like, read the room, Bungie. Like, this is my Vietnam, and you're here like cracking jokes at me. Like, that's the worst combination possible.
Pour it out for the new lights, man. I couldn't believe it. This bro. I didn't believe when you sent me that I was true.
When it finally sunk in, and then today I actually logged and I was like, can I? Because I checked Reddit. More and more people are not finding them, which in theory is good. But like, until this gets fixed, like, this is one of those points where like, until this gets fixed, they should. I don't know what this needs fixed, like, literally ASAP. Like, I don't know how hard it is, but like, this is priority like 1, because, or you do what Final Fantasy did, and when you couldn't log in, they literally stopped selling the game.
Right.
Like, that's one of those points where it's like, hey, can you guys like take this off the pages for a little while, because people buying this game are not, like, literally do that for like a week of like, hey, whatever, a week or 2 for the patch, we're not selling it until we have this fixed. That would be that moment for them to say. But that's the thing. It's like, if you buy Destiny right now and that's what you log into, you're like, Steam, can I get a refund?
The horse is not pleased.
Well, exactly. Like, that's kind of one of those weird. That's one of those weird moments where it's like, they need to like. I don't know how they're going to try and spin that one in a twat, but I'm sure it's going to be some cute language from DMG, like passing the word along. Destiny is free, and that's the thing. They almost need to pull it down from the stores. Like, as Destiny is free. But it's like,
don't say that. Don't say that. You know.
But I mean,
so this is
like, if that's your one experience, that free person's not going to buy it.
Exactly. And the other thing is that how much a thing costs has nothing to do with how good it is.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that cost a lot of money that are terrible, and there are things that are free that are great. Apex Legends is a free game. It's an incredibly well-developed video game. And saying Destiny is free as like a hand wave for anything. Oh, don't be mad, it's free. It's like, okay, well, it's not free when it comes to your time, and free is no excuse for bad game design. It's no excuse. No. This is a huge miss on Bungie's part. Like, huge.
You know I love them. I just
gotta try this Doom Eternal DLC for Destiny.
Yeah, like, bro, that's
may as well be facing off marauders everywhere you look.
Could you imagine booting up, like, what's the strongest boss in Dark Souls? Like, could you imagine you boot up Dark Souls?
Oh no, no! It's like
at the boss fight as soon as
prime example.
This is way harder than Dark Souls.
Prime example, start of like Sekiro, which, you know, is not a big deal. You're not meant to beat, like, any of those type of games, usually you're not, say, meant to beat that first guy. You would think this is that. But then you have to reboot and you're just stuck in the same loop. You can't get out of that, like, the guy, oh, he's supposed to kill me and I'm just supposed to move on with the story or something, right? Why am I still here? This is bad.
Yeah, listen, it's funny. It's hilarious. I'm dying to know. I am going to be reading that 12 with the finest comb. I want to know the technicality. What happened here? Because it's the funniest thing. It's a painful and an egregious. It is absolutely hilarious that this has happened, and the fact that there is an initiative going on that people are literally suiting up and putting on masks and putting on capes to save these people. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I think it's hilarious. So, yeah, so this was the entertaining part of the day.
Yeah, that was so. I mean, it's just like. And we've talked about that before. It's like if you want more people into the game, if you want to grow, like they're still worried about trying to build content for the players they have, but I don't like, and they do really great marketing. Well, if one of those little marketing videos hits, you got to have the new player have a decent experience. And that's one of those things. Again, the New Light experience. If it's banger with New Light for something we don't even know about,
right.
But then that would be finally a time. But it's like, I think even SkillUp will do like his top 10, or it was Games of the Year. One of his was Destiny for him because he lives in it and he plays it all the time. But he also was like, I don't recommend this if you aren't playing it right now. So like one of his is like, hey, it's like I live in it, I play it all the time. It's like, so of course it's like, and right now it's like great storytelling, one of the best games of the year. David, by the way, with the $9.99 super chat, thank you very much.
Salute.
Seriously, thank you. But like the fact that he put it in his list with all the other games that he was playing, yet on the other side, he also said, don't buy it. Because it's like, I can't tell you now is a good time to get into it. But if you have been enjoying it, it's in a good place.
Right.
That's a weird sentence.
Let's get to the elephant in the room. It's just like, historically, because of the nature of this game, live service, ever evolving, Destiny content vault, how can they, I'm not making excuses for them, but like, how can they truly have a starting off point for the New Light to make it easy? Like, I don't know what they've kind of painted themselves in the corner. It's not our fault, and that's for them to figure out. It's their game. You figure it out.
It's also not a good idea. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where your player base only has opportunities to get smaller. Right?
Yeah, that's
like if
where
you
they
don't
are
have
right
a way to bring in new stuff, like if it's getting smaller, it means that your game has an expiration date because either your players are going to get fed up and leave, or they're going to die in Teddy's case, right? Like he's going to be playing until he's dead. So that's his exit for Destiny.
Jesus. But they're in a spot with that. I want to know how they tackle that. How do you, because clearly, we thought Shaun and the Cosmodrome, remember, this is it. They're doing it. And not so much, right? Yeah. Not the ideal onboarding experience. And I don't know what to tell new players. So it feels like every expansion, no, this is the new way you do it. This is the new way.
Yeah.
New Lights, get on, do this, do that. And it's easy. But as if we find out, there's still holes, there's still warts, there's still problems. And that is a challenge they got to figure out somehow. Especially if, like what Travis said, you want that pyramid base to be the widest, right? And you want them to jump there. So I don't know. You got to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, we had to talk about that one because it's just like cycling through everywhere. But I was like, I don't even, it just brings up, as you said, it brings up more issues than anything else because you have to ask, how does it get through enough people's hands that a New Light player gets screwed that bad? And it was even worse today. Like for the one time I saw guys like, cool, we can help him. Maybe if we get him to the end of that, then, maybe I'll get this emblem. Bailed before we even made the first little jump. Yeah, so I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to get the emblem, which I don't care. I was just trying to see if I could help. But two, that guy just had a crappy experience. I'm like, that's the bad example. So I don't know.
Don't know, but definitely one of the fun moments in Destiny history. These are the moments. I want to know what the emblem going to look like.
Unbelievable.
It better look like the Red Cross or something. Just like
Red
coming
Cross
in and helping
or
him
a
out.
cape.
Yeah, a little cape.
Something. I want to know what that emblem is going to be because we had some fun ones. We had the one with
laser
the
tag.
Prometheus lens, laser tag. We had the wolves running wild with Lord of Wolves moment.
Yeah, those are a couple.
But
yeah,
this is up there. This is up there. I was like, wow, okay.
Well, I was like, there's not a whole lot else going on this week, but I wanted to ask you guys with regards to Witch Queen main topics. What is the one you hope to see next week? And then what do you hope is the longest TWAB topic?
Give it to Trav. What you think?
So the question is,
what do you want to see in next week's TWAB?
What do we hope they talk about in the TWAB next week?
Yeah, what's the first thing in Witch Queen that you want them to open the box on and you peek inside? And then what do you think is going to be the longest TWAB topic over the course of the next 5 or 6 weeks?
Honestly, I kind of hope they don't tell us anything. Personally, I sort of I
like
I know that sentiment.
Yeah, you sound like E.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not even that. It's like Bungie should be lauded for its amazing community management and how much they go above and beyond. Personally, I think talking to your fans every week as long as they do is way too often. Like that's so much communicating.
They do communicate.
Yeah, it's like that's got to be a drain. Like the fact that they are coming up with topics every week and that's just supernatural in terms of like their commitment to that. But I kind of don't want them to pull it back too far. Like I'm not like E where I don't want them to spoil the reveal.
One of the biggest events in Destiny. Yeah, it's totally fine. Just let that go.
The stuff that happens on the first mission of the game that everybody's gonna play. It's like the first thing that happens. Who cares? But I do think that sometimes they overshare and overprepare us. Mm-hmm. I kind of don't really want to know exactly what to expect from the new destinations or exactly what to expect from the new raid, or I want to know stuff like when it's going to drop.
Yeah, schedule.
That's important. Yep. When is really all the stuff I want to know is like when is the new sandbox going to be here? When is the raid going to drop? Give us like a timeline for like when we should be logged on, and tell me what other balances you're doing before the new content comes out. But in terms of like them talking about weapon crafting, just wait. Them talking about the glaives, wait. Them giving us more trailers, wait. Like all that stuff, I kind of just hope that they keep it in the black box. But I know they won't. I'm sure we're gonna get a couple more trailers. I'm sure we're gonna get an in-depth look on the new location and the new patrol zone or whatever, and I'm gonna be like, damn it, I wish I didn't see that. But
yeah, I mean, I think one thing that we kind of know from them is like, I know it's not trailer time just yet, but we know when that comes, it's on. That's one thing they do well without a shadow. Curse of Osiris trailer was fire. like one thing when it comes to marketing and getting that, I'm not even worried about. To your question, what I want to see first, is it too early to talk about Sandbox already? I feel like we just talked about Sandbox. They just recently talked about it.
We got all the 30th Sandbox stuff, but I mean,
yeah,
that would be so the stuff that. Let me jump in because I might list off a few things here.
Let's go.
The things that I am happy to see. Void 3.0. An explanation of how the Switch is going to work, how different supers are going to function. Is it just going to be a drop down and you pick them? Aspects and fragments, you're going to be getting those from maybe Ikora on this one because she seems like she would, be a Void type. However that works, that would be, what is the menu system going to like? Those screenshots. That's the stuff I want to see and that I'm okay seeing, as Travis said. I don't want them to explain, here's the 6-person activity where you dunk all, I don't need to know that type of stuff. Granted, the 6-person activity, it's a thing. It's fine. We'll get that one. And then the seasonal activity as well. We'll get another 6-person activity. 2 things Travis can be less thrilled about.
Yeah.
6-person activities, you're just like, go from one to another.
Yeah, dude. Just I've not liked a single one.
So, okay,
yeah,
question. Do you guys think it's going to be a trailer or Vidoc?
I think it's time for a Vidoc. I feel it's been a minute, man.
It's been a while.
I don't know if they're going to do Vidocs anymore. CJ left.
Yeah, right? With COVID.
I kind of know too much.
Yeah, you know a lot. What was the last Vidoc we got? I felt like
That was the Beyond Light one, I'm pretty sure.
Did we
CJ
get a
made it.
big one? We got a big one. We got the Witch Queen. No, Witch Queen, they had a Vidoc. The announcement, they had a big one. Remember, it was kind of like, yo, we're here and she's coming.
They did.
Yeah, that was huge. That was huge.
So that was the one with like everybody coming up on stage, talking their part, going back down.
Oh, that was during the reveal event. That's true.
Yeah, reveal event was huge. It was huge. I mean, we're right on. This is a big expansion. We're on the precipice, but to Travis's point,
like that the Vidoc may have already been, I guess, done. Done,
yeah. And to Travis's point, because of the pandemic, that might not be the cadence anymore, right? Because that was just literally getting people in the room and doing our stuff. So, yeah, it is. I'm curious about the rollout cadence leading up to the February date, how they're going to handle that. Because we do know there is a cadence of getting that hype train rolling before the kind of weeks. And then the other thing is, to be honest, like, when are we getting our what you call it, Marisov Savathun eventual betrayal moment?
Okay, so that has to be February.
I think that'll be separate, and I think before that we'll get one more trailer, and it'll spoil something else that we wish we didn't know that's like big. Like it'll like show like Mars as a patrol zone or something like that, where we're like, oh, okay, that's confirmed.
Right.
I think that's what they'll do.
Right.
Yeah, it's like my guess on like the epilogue for this season. I think I was talking with Chad or somebody about this one enough. Like, because I actually had Jarv. He jumped in and we ran like a 4-man Legend, Dares of Eternity, just to kind of check the 4-man box. So we ran that one. And we just sat and chatted for a while. So we were talking, me, it was New Rad and Black Wings, and then Jarv. Like Jarv, you guys know him. We chatted for a long time just trying to figure out, and it's like, his bet was on February 1st, because he said February 1st, there's like in real life, there's some, excuse me, astrological alignment thing happening between planets or something. So he thought that might be an actual cool thing to tie the alignment of the ley lines up in the game with. It would be kind of a cool way to tie those two together. He said that one. If it's not that date, then my guess is obviously the week right after of the 8th, because then it's literally 2 weeks before, and that's kind of their 2-week cadence. So it's like one of those two places basically was where I would imagine, and it would make no sense. Like if we log in on Tuesday and we get it, then we're just like 5 weeks away, and then you have that little lull before you get to Witch Queen. So I think the Savathun chrysalis breaking open, whatever happens, has to be close to Witch Queen. If it's too far away, it doesn't make too much sense. Like Forcado did actually say that was the stream back over for Witch Queen, but the Vidoc for Beyond Light, he said, was a month before launch. So we do still have potential for a Vidoc in, the next couple of weeks of this month. Could fit easily in there. Final trailer, like marketing promos, that type of stuff will be, that final week trailer, as Travis said, showing me something I don't really want to see.
So basically the Ebontis don't want to see a trailer. Yes,
yeah,
continue.
I should probably skip it. I'll go in blind.
But he can't because
I can't because I have to cover
same
it.
Boat, man. I have to spoil stuff for myself sometimes. I'm like, damn it.
So probably that type of thing, and then like TWAB. So like next week, Forcado, it's like, and I think I saw this too. DMG said next week's TWAB will be lighter. It's not going to have like a big, weapon crafting dump in it or anything like that. So next week will be lighter. And date
I got a question for y'all too. I got another question for y'all.
The next one will be 13th. So you got 20th, 27th, 3rd, 10th, and 17th. You have 5 more TWABs after next week to give us whatever we want, like however much you want to cover.
That's too many.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Question, random. When
so they may not be that big.
When do you think we get the next big? What we call them, the state of the Luke. When do we get the state of the Luke?
That would be in if there is a Vidoc, it would be in there, because the Vidoc they put together is like the interviews, like the screenshots of monitors that people break down, that stupid crazy stuff. Like not the actual Twitch stream, but like here's the 14-minute video from Bungie. I
get that part.
Yeah, if you're gonna get that one, and if if it's falls in that month before, a couple of weeks.
But I mean the other one. I'm talking about the cadence.
I get what you're saying, Cog, but that's usually their move, though, right? They release a Vidoc, and then right after the Vidoc comes out, they do like a TWAB that has like a
Oh,
message from
his.
the thing saying, hey,
I'm talking
Oh,
about
like the
here-
state of the game
state
from
of
Joe
the-
Blackbird's
Yeah.
article.
Right.
Yeah.
And generally, where those states the cadence tends to be, they break bad news first.
True.
Prior to a big expansion to let you know, but this is why the game's going to be better, y'all.
I
We
was
generally
like-
tend to get. I want to know
I
when
almost
do you
feel
guys
like
think
they
we
already
get it?
did that.
I was like, almost feel
I
like
think the bad news came this week.
What,
the
with the new
vaulting.
lights? I'm sorry, Gary. What'd you say? With the what? With
No,
which?
they announced everything they're vaulting.
Oh, what was
Well, I
it?
mean,
Was
that's
it-
been
was
out
it-
for a little bit, but yeah, the year 5 vaulting, that
They-
stuff's been out for a bit.
Yeah.
No, I was
But
like,
I talked about
honestly,
Didn't
I
they
think
like
we're.
reiterate it this week though? They like said like this is the stuff specifically that's coming out.
Okay.
I haven't seen that specifically, but not saying it's not there. But I don't.
Mhm.
You want the juice, honestly. Like I feel like a state of the game has come at like, spring after we get an expansion, as I
Okay.
think we're before.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like those have been. I don't think those have preceded large expansions this close. It feels like those have come either in downtimes or in other. I feel like they've been farther, like either
I feel like,
like in
I
the
get what you-
lull of this next season
No,
is where
but
I
I
would.
feel like they always break some bad news.
No, I'm not saying they won't
to-
break bad news into TWA, but I don't see a state of the game coming right before Witch Queen launches because they probably want all of because they wouldn't want to take away from Witch Queen at this point. I think
Okay.
Witch Queen would launch. You'll have the seasonal stuff going. We'll get the cadence of that. Then when you get to the low point in the season,
Okay.
state of the game last year wasn't chosen.
So
Corcado
like
said.
basically you're saying your prediction is post Witch Queen, pre little season before the next little season comes up.
Yeah, it would either be a
after-
preamble
yeah.
to season 17 or once season 17 kind
Teddy
of gets
make a good
rolling.
point. He said they give a state of the game when people
That's
are
what
upset.
I was actually going to say at one point. I was like,
Yeah.
right now everybody's too hyped for it, so it's
As
like they
needed.
yeah.
I just know it's coming this year. I just want to know. I'm trying to get win. Because they always do it.
What are they going to drop?
All right, guys, we
So
made
we're
this
sunsetting
decision.
exotics now.
We're bringing the sunset. Yep. Hey, bro. What?
Wait,
I can't. And then all
didn't
the yeah.
we kind of already got one with the lengthy here's what Crucible is going to look like thing, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I
we
feel
did.
like
We
that
did,
was
yeah.
a pretty
Kind of
sizable.
one. Yeah.
I mean, that was a
But I'm
pretty
talking about the
sizable one.
2022. When's the 2022 one?
I don't think it's coming
right,
this
it's
year. I
in
don't
the
think
year.
it's coming anytime soon.
Okay, so you feel E's prediction for the record?
Yep.
When summer? When you think?
Well, I got to figure out dates. February. If you go February, March, April, May. Maybe May. Maybe either the downtime of 16
Okay.
or a few weeks into 17 once it's kind of rolling.
Got you,
So kind of
Trav.
I'm gonna
prediction.
guess.
When people are chomping.
When's it
I'm gonna
coming?
guess September when they also announced that Lightfall is going to be fall of 2023.
Yeah.
Oh,
when they
so
delay.
we get a delay.
We get a
and then,
delay on Lightfall.
That's what we're
Yeah.
doing, guys. We're delaying it. We're cooking. I'm telling you.
See, but that's the thing. They shouldn't technically have to delay
they
it,
might not
though.
delay it. They might just announce an 18-month model
Yeah.
going forward.
That's one thing I'm actually very curious about. When we log in, how long is season 16? Are they going to do, as you said, I think you said it last week, actually, is like 3, however long it takes to get that one ready?
6.
Or are they going to go
Yeah.
longer seasonal type things as well? Because we also get Arc 2.0 or Arc 3.0, Solar 3.0. I wonder if they need more time to build those things as well. So longer seasons might give the devs more time if they need. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of always the thing. It's like log in and see how long is this season going to be. We logged into this one. It's like 100 days. And we're like, all right.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I've been wanting to talk about that for a couple of last words, but I finally remembered. I was like, yeah, I was curious what you guys think of that because it's become a routine. It's become a tradition. It's become
The
a
state of
yearly
the
tradition.
game.
We get that big state of the game. Some level of bad news is dropped. The community flips usually prior to the news, and then they have to explain themselves in this lengthy, heart-to-heart talk with the base as to why. And I'm curious to see when that happens because it's always interesting when they do that.
So what was the original question, which I feel like we fell far off of?
Sorry.
Oh yeah. Do you
What do we want to see in the 12?
Yeah, what do you want? What do
the
you want to
12?
see? Yeah, okay. So if next week is light, maybe next week's going to be like, here's the schedule of TWABs. Like this week's going to cover this week, because they've done that before too. Like tell us the weekly schedule of TWABs.
Right.
What do you want to see the most? Like what do you want them to break down in some detail? What would you like to see in a TWAB? I don't even care if big or not. Just at this
it's going
point,
to be light. I mean, if they're already setting the stage, it's going to be light. It's going to explain what the hell happened in New Lights. Give us, if possible, a roadmap, not a full, maybe exact dates, but like, when do you plan on getting the train rolling? Like, when these, expect this.
Okay, then let me rephrase the question. What TWAB are you the most excited for? What TWAB topic over the next 5 or 6 weeks is the one that you're waiting for? Like when you're like, hey, I see this is in this date, I'm tuning it. Like, I know yours is generally sandbox, like, but
yeah,
what are you looking forward to the most topic wise? Either
to
of you.
be honest, the conclusion of this damn season. This season too damn long. When is it over? Please, Savathun, trick Mara so we could get this going. That complete the seance.
And kill Mara.
Complete the damn seance. Like, I'm sick of seeing them 7, 6, whatever them Techians. Finish it. Finish the Witch's Brew. Finish the Witch's Brew. Ooga Booga the chick out. Let's go. Do what we do.
Don't Ooga Booga, please.
Ooga Booga her. She says, ha, you fools. You fools. I have
it's
tricked you.
It's Osiris.
Yeah, get it
Spirit
over
fingers
with.
Osiris.
I am, yo, bro. This season is the long. I mean, they got to delay. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's just painful. Just like I want this thing over already. That's what I need.
No.
Yes.
So you want to? Your biggest thing right now is to know when this season's in. You don't even. Witch Queen's just going to be a thing.
Yes.
Okay. So
threads.
If Travis is right, and we have an 18-monther for the next year ish, whatever you want to call him now. The year of Bungie. Vagabonda was like 16-week, 17-week season, 18-week season, 19-week season. Depending. Okay, so would you rather go 333 or like 3, 4, 5, however long, and have somewhat shorter seasons, or is this big one at the end what you prefer, or is this one killing you if they do that again?
This is killing me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's a part of me that loves the fact that I'm away. And I'm playing my other games. I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not.
Yeah.
But to your point, I'm gonna piggyback you, E. This system is systematically killing the momentum of the narrative. It is literally destroying it. You have come to a screeching halt, and now it's like, I forgot, right? So it's just like, we got to get that going again. In this case, we giving them a slight pass. They did delay it. We understand the delay plays a factor, but they've got to figure this out, because you can't just do, that's like even The Walking Dead, when they do a mid-season finale, it's most 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever it is, then you're back in the mix. This is how long, when was the last
seasonal beat? Crap, I don't even remember.
Last year.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Right? But,
it was what?
Like the thing
August?
is though, Cog, I think that's a problem with the narrative decisions they made, though, not really the format. Because if they had finished the story, put a cap on it, and then been like, all right, now right before Witch Queen comes out, we're going to do something else that kicks off that story, it wouldn't be this problem. The reason we're upset is because they didn't finish the story they were telling.
Right.
And then they said, yeah, we'll finish it, right before Witch Queen comes out. And that's like the frustration. So I think they could have avoided this if they would have just given us some kind of satisfying conclusion to the story they were telling, and then not given us any expectation that there was going to be more story this season. It's kind of just the way they've been doing it that's irritating.
I was like, I've probably been harping on this one for weeks now, but it's like I'm at the point to where
you have.
I know, but like just going forward for the future seasons, especially if it is like Vagabondo said, if they do have.
You cut out. He's muted.
I touched my mic.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Himself on accident.
If Witch Queen's year, or however long it takes to get to Lightfall, if they want to do a longer seasonal model, then as you said, it's like the waiting for the final piece makes it worse. So it's like, as you said, you want to play the other games. Cool. Just don't have this little bug in the back of my brain that's killing me to know. I just want to know what the last thing was.
Right.
Just give it to me. And then you can have the people play the 8 weeks, have the fun, drop something cool, people will come back, but don't have just the anticipation of that. And it never lives up to the anticipation. That's the bigger problem. We're going to get this thing and it's going to be like, cool, now just give me Witch Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want them to continue to do this model personally.
Mm.
The reason because I do think it's helpful to have a longer gap, both I assume for their own production's sake, right? Because they're preparing for this big expansion and they need more time. 2, to account for potential additional delays, which I think there probably will inevitably be, right? And if you try to control the weeks artificially, there's eventually going to be some sort of break in that flow anyway. And also because I kind of like to have one long break per year where it's sort of like on hiatus, and they tend to stuff all of their seasonal events in there, like Festival of the Lost and Dawning both happened this season, right? Like there's just like a lot of kind of end of year seasonal stuff that they do that would feel a little odd if it was happening in the middle of seasons or like right at the beginning of a season if they're doing that old model. So yeah, I kind of think it's okay if they want to do it this way. I just think that to Cog and to your point, E, like the story that they decided to tell is irritating because the break is so long. They should have just finished telling the story and then had no justification for why it takes so long. It's not like any of us are looking at the Destiny story and going, oh, why does this stuff not make sense? We know that it's a game and some of the story beats don't really make sense, right? We know that they're all justifying her still being in this crystal cocoon because they have to wait. It's not like any of us are like, oh yeah, well that makes sense. That's been in the lore for years that you have to be in a crystal cocoon for 6 months before you can pop out. Like that's
gotta turn into a proper butterfly or moth. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like just drop the act. Like just tell us the story you're gonna tell, and then we'll ignore the 6 month break and pretend like it all makes sense chronologically. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like
it doesn't have to be 6 months in canon.
Right.
That's that's kind of the thing. It's like you picture, and granted, I've never played Final Fantasy like 14, but Endwalker just dropped. It's not like people were waiting for the final chapter of the previous expansion to finish up right like 2 weeks before Endwalker, see how the previous one ends. It's like, we've been waiting 3 years for that crap. What are you doing to me? Like, that doesn't happen in other games, and the seasonal cadence would be the same way, I think. So it's like, I think depending on the schedule. Now, Forcado did say something interesting because they said in the previous state of the game last year, they want to keep the Q1 window for their DLCs because it's healthier for their team.
That's fine.
Which would then mean it's just, we're back to an annual release schedule, which if that's something they can keep up with, then, more power to them.
I have zero confidence that in a year from the Witch Queen, we're going to be playing Lightfall. That seems crazy to me.
It does to me too. And that's the thing. It's like, I don't know how big the team is. I don't know what their, bandwidth is for putting out content. But again, is that the time where they're like, has that been in the works for like 2? I don't know. It's hard to know, but I think, obviously we're just all champing at the bit.
We are. Can I say one more thing about the story that's been annoying me?
Sure.
Ironically, the one guy who could have saved us from Savathun's deception with Osiris is Brother Vance, the guy that we hated. Because he would have known it wasn't Osiris.
He would have known that's
that
not
guy
the
would have sniffed it out like a truffle pig, man. He would have been like, that's not the Osiris I worship.
Facts.
And you know
Big
what?
Facts.
We treated him so poorly, and look what that got us.
He would have saved us the entire year.
I forgot Brother Vance got murdered, right? Did he get murdered?
What did he do? It was something on Mercury where
I think he died.
Yeah, I think he died something when the ship came in, or he was just going to stay there. I don't remember. Yeah, he's toast, I'm pretty sure. So, well, as we hit a nice little tight 2 hours, we managed to fill 2 hours of speculation, if nothing else, and stuff over the course of a time when Destiny's still not got a lot going on. But tomorrow will be next week will be a light TWAB, and then it's probably going to be bigger from there. Once I kind of get the guest schedule ironed out, you guys will see those coming up as well. So, going to be at least one more person here on the show with us joining soon, so stay tuned for those times. But as we wrap it up, anything else you guys want to cover? Any quick jabs you want to get in before we go? Travis?
Trav.
Why do you assume I've got jabs?
I can't quite imagine why that would be just like my go-to for you. That's so weird. Oh, he walked into the Vex Gate. That's right.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. There you go.
So yeah, I don't have any quick jabs. Thanks for watching the show, everyone. Tell your friends about the show. Maybe they'll watch it and then stop being friends with you afterwards. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis. You can read my reviews, previews, and articles on IGN.com. And I'm really looking forward to this year. I'm really excited about Witch Queen and having the opportunity to review it. I think the best thing about reviewing a game you really love is that you know it's going to force you to play it. Because sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to have enough lifetime to do it. But if you can turn to your significant other and be like, hey, this is work, honey. I'm sorry. I need to play Destiny. That's a great feeling. It's a really beautiful feeling. So, beautiful thing. Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I also want to give a shout out to Bitcast.
Salute.
Our show Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific, I think, is when I agreed to wake up. We talk about lots of different stuff. Sometimes I convince them to talk about Destiny even when they have no interest in it. And you can see me and a guy named Ains, who is a very stubborn but bright young man, and then also a problem man named Dan. I just call him the problem man.
The problem man named Dan.
That I live to throw bricks at. Yeah.
You're like Macaulay Culkin on top of the apartment throwing bricks.
Besides moving those Oculus units.
That's right, man. I'm out here moving.
Like there's people like posting like, I bought Oculus because Cog told me to, and I'm like, that's some influencer. Where's your referral code? You know what I mean? Like, you need a 10%
the Lord Cognito Oculus code.
This is crazy.
Drop it in the chat. Let me stop. No, man, it's been cool to see. I'm very humbled to see people say that. Like, yo, because of you, I picked it up, and I'm like, wow, like that is insane, man. But yeah, just been,
you gotta point to your boss.
Look at it. Yo, that's gonna be in the performance review. Look at my units I sold.
I'm moving units, bro. How many units did you move this year?
That'll be reading my presentation. But no, it's been cool, man. It's seeing everybody get down and having fun with that. So that just I needed the time off though. The time off, I needed it bad. I had to recharge, get rest. Doing so many things. Was cool. I like that. Actually, these last words have been kind of light in a way, so it's been kind of cool just to kind of just shoot it and just not even go too crazy. I know once we ramp up, it's on, but I needed it. So for that, Duke has been fine. So getting back into that, and then ILP returns this Sunday. We will be Tell Ains. We will be at 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll give him the space because he's like, damn, bro, you guys are 11 now. We moved to 11 a.m. Eastern. We're back to our 1 p.m. King and Attic. Well, they don't have to curse at me no more for getting up earlier.
I'm sorry. When do you guys have when NFL season's like hot and heavy? What time are you starting the podcast? Eastern,
Eastern, when NFL is hot and heavy, we're at 11 a.m. Eastern. So that's right. Week 1 of the new NFL season. That's when we go to 11 a.m.
11 a.m. is early?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the games start at 1 p.m.
The gamers, bro. Haven't you ever seen the show Up at Noon?
Bro, Saturday.
I was going to be like, grow up.
Attic be up at Saturday night playing whatever, 3, 4 in the morning, wiping the crust out his eye the next morning.
Do you understand? If you go to bed at 4 in the morning, you could still get up at 10 o'clock and get 6 hours of sleep. That's more than I get half the time. 4
o'clock in the morning might be early for him.
That's what I'm saying. You might want to it's one day of the week, man. Just you got obligations. Figure it out,
bro. Gamers, bro.
I've seen him on the podcast too. He won't even turn on his camera because it's 11 a.m. and he went to bed at 8 a.m. I'm like, bro, you're doing a show. Like, what happened?
I have no empathy for that. I burned both ends of the candle. It's sorry. I don't
relay the feedback.
But I'm like, it's one
his
day
name's
of the
Lord Addict. He doesn't have good impulse control.
I mean, fair point.
That's why he's the addict.
Ding. The boy's been named for a reason.
I mean, fair, but I'm like, somebody call that boy and be like, you're online at 3 o'clock. I'm telling the power grid shut you off. Like,
to shut you off.
I'm gonna cut you off.
Parental controls
on him.
He needs a mom.
If this Xbox is on after 2 a.m. on a Sunday, it will shut down until after Iron Lord's podcast.
Cog's gonna give him family control settings.
Family control. IOP family control.
You can only
exceeded your hours.
You can only play 10 hours a day.
But yeah, we'll be back, man. Sunday, be back 1 p.m. Eastern.
Nice.
Homie Forte, Boom will be on. So we'll just talk about what's going on. A lot of stuff going on in the industry. Oh, I forgot we got to say this, guys. Rest in peace, E3.
Going basically online. Yeah.
So we got to find out, GCX, what are you doing? Are you still going on?
I mean,
it's just this year, though, right? They're still planning a physical return for you.
Read Jason Schreier's new joint. And what's your man? What's that guy name? Flufferter, whatever. Mike Futter said it's an excuse. They were already canning it. They're using not that Omnicom is not serious, but I'll read the tweet because I got it ready for my notes already for ILP. He said when they said E3 ships to online event only because of Omnicom concerns. That was the official statement by the ESA. Mike Futter said, this is spin. I've heard from sources in mid-November before Omnicom's emergence at the end of that month that the ESA has abandoned their dates for the Los Angeles Convention Center. And then Schreier put out a tweet prior to that saying, yeah, he's heard it's the end.
I mean, so, I'm not surprised.
Online event. Yeah.
Like,
it's upsetting.
Things going. I was like, it is the end of an era, legitimately. But I mean, the writing's been on the wall in the past year and a half. The way everything's been done, too many companies don't want to go rent a space, pay all the money to the ESA.
Right.
If anything, they would. If things get back to a reasonable space, Microsoft could do their I can't remember what theirs was called because I even feel like I went to one. What were their on location ones?
The FanFest stuff?
Not even that, but I don't know. Either way, but Sony PlayStation Experience, they could do that one.
Okay, right.
And then if Xbox, you could do that type of thing where you could get tickets and go to a Microsoft thing if they want to do their one-time event, kind of like a BlizzCon. I could see those types of things maybe happening if things get back to somewhat reasonableness. But right now, it doesn't make sense. And then the E3, people finally had a reason to bail, and they just don't see a reason to go back.
I honestly think that's a mistake. I think that the great thing about E3 is the whole industry comes together to celebrate games as one body. And I think that whole segmentation of people going and doing their own things and living in a silo is you don't really see other industries doing that. The movie industry doesn't have separate Oscars for Universal and then separate ones for
it's all segmented. Just last point, Jason Schreier, 5 hours ago.
I hate it.
He said,
I hope it comes back.
Let me read this one. This is the one that hit me hard. He goes, 5 hours ago after the Mike Futter tweet that I read, sounds like E3 is all but dead. Can someone come up with an excuse to everyone to go to LA in June? Then he says, by the way, I 100% believe Futterfish is reporting that the ESA gave up on E3 3 days ago otherwise there would have been dates on the website over the PR fluff piece that hit today. No way this is a knee-jerk reaction to Omicron. It's E3 throwing in the towel officially. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it. I think it's unfortunate because I think E3 did have a valuable place in the industry. And yeah, it has a bunch of problems. It was overpriced. The ESA wasn't always the best organization to host it. And people had been pulling out for years, EA doing EA Play and stuff. But if you've ever been to E3, there's really
nothing like it.
Having everyone together and just everyone there loves games, and you see people with Nintendo talking to people from PlayStation, and they're exchanging tips and they're making connections, and I'm really just gonna be.
I'm gonna
miss it if it never comes back.
Man. I'm just happy I did go to a few, and those are some of the best experiences I've ever had. It's just a fraternity, but like you said, the centralized location and everyone, every bit of the movers and shakers of the industry. It's shout out to Teddy. The IGN War Rooms is one of the best.
Dude, it is.
Yeah.
Honestly, covering E3 sucks. I almost killed myself.
It sucks when you do it. Yeah, you kill yourself.
But it is so much fun. It's so much fun. I'm really gonna miss it.
And the last thing I'll say for the rest of Peace Out is literally Iron Man Podcast wouldn't be where it would be without E3. That is a big jumping off point for us going out there, growing our channel, boots to the ground. I met Ryan in the flesh. I met so many people, and it spawned so many relationships that really helped ILP get to where it is. So I'm just curious. The last part I'll say is I'm curious about GCX now. I mean, clearly I'm free to go GCX if you're doing it. I got no things in the way now.
Got a little extra space there.
Hey, GCX, because I was mad at you. You did it around E3, but what's the deal?
Hey, if there's any state that won't cancel an event because of COVID, it's Florida.
Listen,
that's the only thing that gives that thing a little bit of hope. Is like
triple boosted of whatever I'm ready.
I got my 5G plus triple boost.
I got my Wi-Fi. Yep. I got everything in me. Let's go. Let me stop. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Man.
Yeah. Well, for me, it seems like I'll be working on Inscription on weird hours.
Oh, yeah.
See how that one goes, working through backlog stuff in between. I've got some bigger ones, and then I'm still just like dreading that week of February because like I want to play through Horizon Zero Dawn. That's like what kind of was one of my biggest ones.
Oh, them screenshots, bro. You seen them new stuff?
Oh, dude, it looks absolutely amazing. I just can't rush that game in 4 days.
Yeah,
and if I start it and then play Witch Queen and then Elden Ring's gonna call my off time's gonna go Elden Ring, so I can't even start. I'll just probably see review scores for Horizon and know that I'll get to it later. But yeah, my backlog, I got a couple things that I wanted to work on, picked up a couple little ones, and then Horizon's probably the big one that I'd like to get in. Kind of also want to do Dark Souls 1 just as like get me back in the mode for Elden Ring, kind of play one of the less friendly ones if possible, even though I hear 2's the hardest actually. But yeah, other than that, I think, pour one out for E3. You guys know where to find all the awesome people. Find Travis on his Twitter or go, refresh those IGN articles for some views. Get that man some love.
That's right.
Iron Lord's podcast, Cognito. Apparently go buy a quest, drop hey, Lord Cognito sent me. Make sure you get that referral code in there. Yeah. I was told this did come with a $20 coupon. A coupon.
You might get a little coupon. You might get a little.
And a signed poster of Lord Cognito himself.
Yeah. He's got to be mid flex though. I can't get just the normal one. I got to get.
I'm turning mine into a body pillow. I'm having it.
So you got to get the flex poster for Cog, and then for me, you know where to find me: Twitter, Twitch, playing Destiny, playing other random weird trippy games. Inscription's odd, and I'll just say that. Should be a fun few weeks coming up, and we know next week is where it's just going to start to get a little crazier. So
ramp up.
Chat, you guys have been amazing. If you enjoyed the show, if you got friends, share it with them. Drop a like on the video. Leave us a good review on iTunes, on Spotify. I tend to throw a little question on there actually for Spotify. You can actually drop a question into the podcast. I think I did one last week, so I want to look real fast. What is your favorite year of Destiny 2? We had 14 votes, so again, Spotify is not going to get too many votes because people don't see it. 21% was year 4. 21% was year 5, which was Forsaken. Nobody voted for Shadowkeep. And then 57% voted for this year.
Yeah.
So, really?
Yep.
That's surprising to me.
So I will probably put another random one out there. So if you guys do listen on Spotify, feel free to check that one out. But thank you guys very much for episode number 179. January 6th, it is 20.
Shout out to E. He got retweeted by Joe.
Oh, yeah.
He watches your guides. We got to say that before we go.
That's right. He's a big star.
Blackburn bending the knee to Ebontis. King of PvE, bruh.
Yes.
Wow.
The legendary
Beautiful.
Blackburn.
I was kind of beside myself trying to figure out what to say to that one. But I was just like, it's been a while since that video came out. And he's just like, I was like, oh, thanks for using the guide. I'm like, I'm sorry, who said that tweet? So no, I was like, send him a quick DM and just said, thank you. He said, seemed very nice, just quick response, but like he actually responded to the DM as well. So no, that kind of
magic moment.
That was surprising. So
magic moment. I had a magic moment, and then the luster got taken all away from it. So I was like, I saw Ryan McCaffrey's timeline, and he put something out. I guess John Cena has like a new movie coming out.
It's Peacemaker on HBO. It's a show. Yeah.
So he's talking about it, promoting it from IGN. I'm like, all right, cool. And then he's, oh wow, John Cena is following me. I didn't even know that. Then he checks, and then I guess John Cena really has like a really follow back kind of policy. So I went to go check.
Oh, really?
I'm like, yo, John Cena's following me too. I'm
Following
like,
you?
what?
Oh man,
That's amazing.
Check if John Cena is following everybody. Like at this point, if he's interactive cross paths, he's following you at some point. But I just thought it was absolutely hilarious because I was like, oh wow, that's so cool. He's so special. And then I'm like, oh wow, I'm special too. But I'm like, who else are you following, John Cena?
Did you see
Oh,
on
it's like
the
20,000 follows.
He's probably got a lot.
did you see on the other side where Gordon Ramsay was like, "What is a Twitch?" Did you see the clip?
Yes, hilarious.
Actually,
hilarious.
well, like I've watched MasterChef just because I like cooking and kind of seeing like amateurs like learn that type of stuff. And his new one, Next Level Chef, and that was like they're introducing all the new chefs for the year and his new show, and I was like, that's the clip. But yeah, then somewhere like he like changed his name on Twitter to like Gordon Ramsay, who doesn't know what Twitch is, or something like that. There was this like meme he had for a day, which was hilarious. So
Our Sanity says he saw Cena following some people from Twitch. So maybe that was it. Oh, shout out to Black Ronin. Happy born day if that's your born day, brother. Happy born day, brother.
Nice.
I see a lot of people saying happy birthday to him in the chat. He's looking forward to ILP and some cake. Salute, bro. Salute. Good to see you in here as always.
okay, well, long intros out of the way. Thank you all very much. All of you guys who showed up today. We will be back next week. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. But for this time being, for this episode, it has been
The last word.
the last word.
The last word. Yes. He did it.
He did it. Oh, I didn't even catch it. He did it.
See, that's what I was like. I threw him off.
Threw him off. Pistols up. All right.
All right, you guys. We are out
John
of here.
Cena doesn't
We will see
follow
you
me.
later.